Hello, everyone. It's your girl, the dark-haired woman with.
Yes. Deckham. Break Deckham. That's what they call me.
And welcome back to the Quinn Deckham. Actually, that's where you guys are all dead. Unfortunately, this is the Quinn Deckham.
Yeah.
The week.
Everybody keeps making those jokes like, "Oh, I'm already dead." Well, actually, buddy.
Well, we are back, guys, again with another episode of Anime Club. As you can see, we decided to kick it up a notch, and we are cosplaying tonight. Whose idea was this? I remember we talked about it, but I don't know. Was it yours? Or I don't remember. Or was it somebody in chat?
I'm not even sure. I think someone said something, and they were like, "Yeah, well, look, we could do that." Or maybe you said it. I think you did this.
Did
Actually,
I?
I'm thinking about it. I think so. Yes.
I don't even remember now. Well, it actually came to fruition. I'm super excited. I hope we make this a thing. This is fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I
I'm
have
down.
to give props to you because mine's very, very
Oh.
closet. Like I just had to like try to find stuff in my room. But you are like decked out with the like vest, the wig, the bow tie, like everything.
Even this, I made this myself.
He made that
This whole
himself,
thing right
y'all.
here. So
That's so
I was like,
dope.
I gotta get ready.
So we are cosplaying today. Hello everyone. Hey Barbie. Hey Andy. Hey Tal. Oh my god, Tal, long time no see. Welcome to the Anime Club. Hey Quets, what's up? So yeah, another week. We have 4 episodes. I'll say, I kinda wanna fight y'all. Because I didn't know that when I would get locked into this show, I would be crying every episode. That was not expressed to me. And I definitely think, especially the episode 4, I shed a lot of tears in that, but also a couple on
I
episode
can see
6.
why. I can
Yeah.
see why. I was like, dang. I was kind of feeling it too. I'm like, why you gotta be like that? But I mean, it's this whole thing was just, it was a mess. Okay, it was a mess.
Yeah.
Ugh,
It's just.
that's why I had to come in there and give him the hug. All right.
So yes, guys, we're back. I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to pour in while we wait, but while we chill, kind of gonna switch it up because I know I didn't watch it, but I know one of the hot topics of like the anime world this week was the fact that Chainsaw Man, the
Oh,
trailer came out for the anime adaptation, correct?
shoot, can we even call it a trailer? It's more of a, it's like a PV. It's a sneak preview basically. Like
Oh,
real. It's so short. It's so short. I made a reaction video actually on my channel. YouTube.com/thebreakmaster. You can go check that out over there. But yeah, that I want more. It was good. It was really good. It showed me why Mappa is the GOAT when it comes to animation, right? Like it just it looks so good. And their style that they decided to choose for it, it works really well with the show. So I'm looking forward to it. This should be good. This should be good. I'm gonna be upset if it isn't, but it should be good.
I'm excited because everyone else is excited. I actually did read some of the manga. One of my favorite anime YouTubers, Super Eye Patch Wolf, after watching one of his videos where he's saying its praises, it inspired me to read the manga. And I actually put some other people on it, and then I just stopped because I'm so lazy. Like I'm so like
Oh,
I just am everywhere. But now like it's coming out, like it seems like everyone's super hype about it. And yeah, like when that PV trailer thingy came out, I haven't watched it yet, but everyone was hype, and it just made me really hype because everyone was already putting it like kind of pairing it with Jujutsu Kaisen. Like I feel like everyone's like they're about to be the besties, like the best like new girls to run the scene, which I thought was really cute. So I
now you
mean,
got me wondering. Have you even seen it yet,
seeing the trailer now.
guys? Y'all want to do a live reaction? You want to do a live reaction?
Wait, hold on. I don't know if I have the ability. Hold on, maybe I can pull up on my phone.
Oh, why don't you have the ability?
I didn't
It should
actually
be, it
set
should
it.
be instant,
Yeah, I
right?
was gonna say I only have this scene set up, and that's something that I always have to remember because in my Daily Dose podcast, I have like different scenes where you can like if you're reading something or watching something, but I always like forget to set it up since we don't do much like that. But I mean,
Oh, okay. Well, wait. We can abort. We can abort. I never said that. It's never happened. You know, TV live reaction to Chainsaw Man. It's not real. It was fake. I'll fake news. I'm lying to
The
everybody.
show isn't real, guys. It's a figment of our imagination. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I get excited when the anime community comes together and like rallies behind a show and gets really, really hyped. So I'll give it a try.
But see, that's why I don't know. I get scared of that because like now it has a high expectation to make, right? To showcase this, and what if it doesn't live up to the expectation? Because if it doesn't live up to the expectation, people go and freaking dog on it,
That's
and
true.
it's never looking good. You know, it's I don't know. It's like I like when things get hyped, but not too much. You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I feel like where there's people that are very, very like, supportive of it, that also brings people who are just ready to rip down any little like thing because then people will be like, well, y'all said this was the best thing since X, Y, and Z. So how come and they like are really, really picky with it. So that's true. It also kind of gets a target on its back. But I mean, I
And
was
what scares me too is that I've been reading the manga. I'm at like chapter 13. Now it seems like it's about to get more interesting since we're actually past, I guess, like the introductory part of it. But it's like the first initial chapters they weren't bad, but they're definitely not something that would like completely grab you onto the show,
mhm.
And that's like 12 chapters. So if they animate it like a traditional anime, that's at least like 4, 5 episodes
Ah.
long. So you know what I mean? And so it's just like, will the show be able to actually grab on and gravitate to people that people are like really hyped for with this? Like, will it actually live up to the hype? Even though to me the start wasn't really all that strong. So I
Mm.
don't know. I don't know.
I'm trying to remember the first couple chapters I read because I feel like I liked it enough to keep reading because I thought it was building like an interesting world and I kind of like the main character too, his whole predicament. But I agree, like I feel like,
Interesting.
and that just kind of goes back to it being hyped because if it's not that like wham, bam, right out the gate, people are gonna like, y'all, this is trash. Y'all hyped it up too much. So we're gonna have to see. I see some of you guys in the chat saying you're excited to see it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Andy, though. Like I always come into everything with very low expectations, so I can never be disappointed.
I mean, that's a good philosophy. You can only go up if if your expectations are on the ground already. So we'll all keep a lookout for that. Mayhaps we watch it on Anime Club. Maybe that's how we'll all view it together. But with that said, I think since the chat's going, we can jump into the first episode we watched for this week's installment of Anime Club, Death Parade episode 4. So I will say we're probably going to spend a while in this episode because not only do I have 16 page. I wrote a dissertation that I'm submitting for my
Oh,
master's
what?
degree in anime. But I like did not want to miss a beat. And also, I mentioned this before, but I actually watched this on YouTube. So another thing I've been enjoying recently is after I watch an episode, going in the YouTube comments, just praying nobody's gonna spoil me and seeing what people had to say. And I think it's really nice.
You brave. You brave. Yeah, like what?
I fear
I'm going in the
nothing.
comment section. Oh.
It is brave, and funny enough though, I actually did receive a spoiler or a potential spoiler, but it wasn't from the YouTube comment section. People tend to be really respectful. It was
Oh.
from google.org. I was trying to look up pictures. I was trying to look up pictures for this Chiyuki cosplay,
Oh.
and
Oh.
that darned people also asked section where they like have questions that people are search terms or search phrases that people also have looked up alongside whatever you're listening, and then like sometimes people will be like ask questions about like things. So like you'll type in Orange Host Club and it'd be like, how did Tamaki die or something like that. Sometimes they're wrong, but like in that case, like if he actually died, it's like, oh, now I know he died. That's great.
Well, thanks for the spoiler. I ain't
Imagine
got there yet.
Tamaki died in Orange Host. That would be the craziest twist in the history of anime. That would be insane. But yes.
Be upset. I'll start throwing chairs and stuff. I don't know how to react exactly, but I know upsetting me is not the right thing to do.
Especially because you're Decum, so you can decide their fate when they go to the underworld afterlife.
Exactly.
So they
Yeah,
can't
I'm gonna
mess
get it
with you.
wrong just to mess with y'all.
All right, guys. So This episode is quite interesting because it starts off with a couple of people. We have a woman and a man that do not know each other, at least in real life. So we have Yosuke, which is like a regular everyday dude, and then we have Misaki, who we later learn is like a reality TV star. And so, due to her kind of, brush with the entertainment industry, when they first enter the Quindecum, she actually thinks it's like a hidden camera show. So, like, it's so
Yeah.
insane that she's like, oh, yeah, this is like a hidden camera show. So, with that, like, idea, she kind of goads Yosuke into playing along. She's like, listen, I'm part of show business, just play along, bada boom, bada bang. So, like, from this initial, I know we just did like 2 sentences. What did you kind of feel like? What did you feel about the two? Like, just seeing how Misaki acted, when she thought
Misaki loves to take the lead because she thinks she's like the boss. All right, that's what it is. Like, she knows what's up. She's on punked and she ain't getting punked. Right, they're gonna get punked. That's what's about to happen. So she was a character. I'll say that much. Other dude, I wish, as weird as it is, I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. I kind of wish there was like more to the guy though, because like I don't know, I felt like we got a lot of Misaki in this episode and her whole thing. But when it came to the dude, it's like, I mean, I get it, but I don't know. I don't know. I just wish there was a little bit more to him.
No, I agree. I definitely had to do some digging actually to kind of understand what his story was, because there was some stuff that, based off the flashbacks they eventually show us, I was a bit confused on. But I definitely thought it was quite Misaki centric as well, which I didn't mind because I quite thought that she was like an interesting character in like character study. So no offense to Yosuke. I mean, well, it's so hard not to just jump ahead and spoil.
I know, right? You ready? You ready? Let's go.
So essentially, the game that they play for this round is like a classic arcade fighting game. But what's interesting is that the avatars in the game are like themselves. So they're playing as like computerized Yosuke and computerized Misaki. So they start playing, and after the first round, Yosuke wins. And right after that win, we get some information and some backstory from Misaki, because she gets like a headache and then she gets a flashback. So we found out that she has an abusive or she's not abusive, but she has a history of abuse.
Are you sure about that?
Well, she is, but what we find out for that flashback particularly is that she has a history of being abused by her partners. We kind of see her younger, she's fooling around with this guy, they eventually get married, and then he starts to beat her, and then we see that she actually gets another partner, and that partner also falls into abusing her. So right then and there, I was like, oh gosh, let me grab the Kleenex. Where the Kleenex at? Because domestic abuse, domestic violence is just, I can't do it. Like, it makes me depressed. And obviously it's not like a fun topic. Like, nobody's like, wee! No. But it's just like, I get
domestic abuse. Woo.
Exactly. Nobody's like, let's go. Like, yeah. So I was really, really sensitive, but I was just like, I was interested because this is a very sympathetic thing. Like, so I was like, how is this going to turn? I don't know. How did you feel? Like, I definitely was like, how is this going to turn into, because later on we usually see like somebody getting exposed. Is this going to be like the previous one where it was like not really a sad story? Like, it wasn't like, showing somebody's evilness, but it was like, oh, seeing like what happened. So like, what did you think at that first flashback?
It was I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know. It was very interesting what they were trying to feed us, because it's not like I didn't feel sympathetic for her, because everything that she went through was just like, bro, like, you had a really hard life, and then when she finally got things together, boom, that's when it's all over right there. And she didn't really get that second chance to really live her life like that because all the other stuff that was going on. Granted, she was not really the best person either, though, because. But at the same time, you guys got to remember, though, when you get abused, you start becoming abusive yourself. That's like the kind of like the
not always, but like that can happen.
Not always.
Yeah.
And I feel like she kind of went into that ladder, which is why she was just out here just throwing hands at anyone and crap. And we see later in this episode, boy, what's our boy's name? I can't remember his name because he got smashed.
Yosuke,
He
yeah.
was Yosuke. Oh my god! Like she lost herself because she thought they were gonna die. Right?
Hmm.
They were in this life and death game at this point because she realized, wait a minute, this is not a game show. This isn't Punk'd. This is
Hmm.
real life. We're about to die here. And so she started panicking because she's like, I can't beat him. He
Yeah.
plays video games. So she's like, oh god. And then in this episode, freaking Deckham's trash.
Dekum
He
is
has a device. He has a device that allows them like to take the joystick off. He did that to Yosuke first,
mhm.
and it got him, and it made it to where he got some of his memories too. But when he did it to her, when she was already stressed, oh my
Mhm.
god, it was over for her. It's just when she
Yeah.
got up and just started smashing his head in,
That was
it
really
was bad.
scary. I'm just gonna like, because it seems like, it might work better for this just to like talk about it. But yeah,
Yeah, a little
yeah,
bit.
so we kind of see like, in the episode we kind of learn both of their backstories. So on Masaki's side, she was abused. And so you correct me if I'm wrong, but what I understood for Yosuke is that when he was young, he had an abusive mother, and then he was taken. I don't know if he was, see, I didn't understand whether he was adopted to a new family or his father remarried and he just got a new stepmother. That's what I was a bit
Oh yeah,
confused on.
that's what's kind of confusing about it. You're right because I guess that detail wasn't as important to the overall theme of what they were trying to go for. So I'm not
Hmm.
exactly sure either if it was more like something was wrong with his with his mother or what was going on exactly. I just know that later on he had a stepmom that he just did not accept is the
Hmm.
thing. So
Yeah. So we have like two people, and I thought it was a really beautiful metaphor. So we have basically two people who, die. Later down the line we learn that Misaki died because after being abusive towards her assistant essentially kills her. And then for
no, she
Yosuke,
assisted all right.
yeah, I know. She was like, all right, bet. Like, come on, I'm about to throw hands. And then Yosuke, he actually meets his, he passes away due to the fact that he's, suffering from depression. And he eventually, takes his own life by jumping out the window. So, it's a bit interesting because this is the first time we've seen somebody, a situation where somebody died because they took their own life so far in the anime. But it was really, really sad. And so, we have these two situations where they haven't like gotten like got like to live the fairest life. And one of the things I thought was so
Yeah.
interesting, and you pointed it out, is that in this we see that Deckham has this device that kind of allows him to sabotage the two individuals, the two guests during their game. So like I mentioned before, they're playing this like one-on-one arcade game, and so when he presses the button of the device, the joystick top pops off, which throws them off, especially when they're like in the middle of the game. So we see that when it happens to Yosuke, it actually ends with him losing. And when it happens to Misaki, as Break had pointed out, she, it makes her on the verge of losing. She starts freaking out and she actually goes over and assaults Yosuke. And Yosuke kind of like lets it happen. Like he's kind of like, defeated.
Yeah.
So I thought what was really like beautiful and sad is that even at one point when Misaki confronts Deckham and talks about how like, what is this? And you have that scene we always get in every episode where the person finally realizes that this is like, this is some real ish. Although she like assumes that she's gonna die if she doesn't win. She points out how it's not fair because Yosuke, they show in the show, he's very, very like, video game savvy. So she was like, this is not fair. He's clearly way better than me. If this is like a life and death thing, he's always gonna win. And Deckham has this line where he's like, oh, since when was anything in your life fair? Like, why start now? And so I saw the like Joy-Con thing where the Joy-Con popped off as kind of a metaphor about the fact that they were dealt some shitty cards in their life that like was
True.
unbeknownst to them. Like obviously, as a kid, Yosuke can't decide what kind of mother he gets in terms of his initial mother, and kind of the abuse, whether it be verbal or physical, he suffered at his birth mother. Obviously it affected him with the way he saw his adoptive slash stepmother and the way he felt about himself and things like that. And then obviously with Misaki, the fact that she suffered this like, abuse multiple times, that's not her fault. And what I think like in terms of like arbitration that Deckham was looking at is like, okay, similar to your life, you were dealt a bad hand. So let's see if you're going to repeat that behavior. In Misaki's case, turning that abuse onto other
Mhm.
people, or you'll still kind of maintain your composure. And the way that Yosuke did, he was very, he wasn't very great to his mother, but a lot of the struggle wasn't something that he pushed on other people, it was something internalized. So I was like, when that kind of clicked for me, I was like, oh dang, Deccan really out here like designing these like games and stuff. But I thought it was just really, really, it was interesting, but it was quite sad, you know because like you said, like Misaki, she was abused, and I'm fortunate to say that's never happened to me. So how,
Good.
like, I feel bad because it's like, how can I sit there and be like, you need to be a better person, like you need to get over the fact that you got abused and
Yeah.
try to shine, like how am I gonna say that? Like I can't, like it would be great if that's not the way she went, but
Hmm.
at the same time, as somebody who's never experienced that, I can't tell people to get over their struggle. Like if it's like,
Yeah.
we hope that it won't, like, that's not how your abuse and how your suffering projects itself out. But I don't blame her in that sense, if that makes sense. So that was a
I
long
don't blame her to
spiel.
an extent either, but no, that was great. Freaking out here, Pink with the analytical ability. Like, holy crap! All right, I didn't even catch it like that. That was good. That was really good. All right, gotta give a round of applause for that right there.
Love that
But
though.
I mean, yeah, it's like I don't necessarily blame her for you know, like because she had a crappy life, but at the same time, you have to remember, she made certain decisions and dated these people and so on and so forth. It does take two to tango with some of this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
eh, again, it's another like insight on just kind of like how you live your life kind of reflects on what's going on around you.
Mm-hmm.
And like it is kind of unfortunate. Now where what's different though with like Yosuke, like I said, he didn't really have a choice in the matter because we don't really know exactly what happened with his mother, but obviously the mother's not there no more. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, you don't really have an option. He can't really do anything about that whole thing. So that was more or less like he has no control over this. Where I think in this case, Misaki had some control and some authority to not have to really deal with some of these people that she dealt with, but she dealt
Mm-hmm.
with it and the consequences were there. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's not all her fault, of course, because these men shouldn't be doing what they did or anything like that. And
Mm-hmm.
just I don't know. It's a very tricky thing, but that's kind of what I was kind of getting out of that too. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, is she gonna repeat the same cycle? Is she not gonna try to do better? Which it seems like she was just trying to get there because it's not like she didn't care. Like she has heart, but then there's like an anger management there issue that she kind of needed to still resolve. Like there's still things
Mm-hmm.
that she needs to still resolve with herself because she's not over all that. Because that's what happens
Exactly.
when you go into abusive relationships. It's like it's not gonna just disappear. It's always gonna be there, and you got to work your way out of that. So with this type of this, like what they did, it is a little unfair. Like what Declan was trying to do. I get what he was trying to get at, but it's like I don't know. It's very tricky. That's what I'm saying. The arbitrary stuff is very
Yeah.
hard.
But we managed to do
Like I couldn't do it.
it. Yeah, I
I couldn't
know.
do it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you made the right decision ultimately. But as we see in the end of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day she did get wild and she did kind of repeat that same step and
Mm-hmm.
everything, so she's still not there, but it's not like she can't get there though, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
why I
not like she
hate
doesn't
Red
have
Flannel.
compassion.
Yeah, that's why I really
Yeah.
hate, like, yeah, we mentioned the fact that she smashes Yosuke's head in, but she's almost immediately, regretting it, and she's like, we need to help this. And I think it's quite interesting because, depression, mental illness and things like that, and when it results in suicide, a lot of people, well, not everyone, but a lot of people will feel sympathy for that. And I think what's harder is when a mental illness or like, some type of mental issue, because clearly I feel like it's pretty clear she was suffering, when it
Hmm.
results in somebody being ugly, like not physically but like being abusive back and stuff like that, that's when a lot of people lose sympathy, and suddenly it's not, we need to get this person help, it's that this piece of person needs to be sent away. And I feel like it's kind of
Hmm.
reflective of a lot of people who are like like critical of like the prison system. Like a lot of people are like, well, prison shouldn't be
Yes.
just a punishment, it should be rehabilitation. So when you're sending these people into bad conditions and, you know, X, Y, and Z, then what are you actually doing? Like what there's no reform there. Like especially because sometimes the conditions are really, really bad. But I will say, wait, I'm gonna read Andy's comment real quick and then I'm gonna jump back in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Andy says this episode really further explores how these people are being judged. If Deckham / the system is just forcing them to snap, when people are pushed to the edge, it can bring out the worst in them. But is it their true self or is it just taken to extreme? That's a great question. And I feel like we might have like touched on this before to an extent, but yeah, they always mention, I feel I've seen that like as a theme throughout the show, them mentioning that, you know, it's important to push them to extreme. I think Nona in one of the episodes says like pull out their darkness, and I'm like, if you have to fight to pull out their darkness, can you truly say that's how they are, or it's just like, you know, an extreme? Like if somebody was like, do this or you will die, which is, well, you know, they don't say that in words, but that's what a lot of these people assume. Like, wouldn't you do some ugly things? But I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know, say, what do you think?
Yeah,
Grace?
because isn't it like a flight or flight like instincts that come in after that point more so than anything else? I mean, it's a primal nature of things because I mean, again, we always think when it comes to humans that our truest form is just chaos, right?
Exactly.
That's kind of the thing here. So that's pretty much what Deckham and the rest of the arbitrators kind of end up doing is that they just showcase, yeah, humans just when they get pushed hard enough, you see that chaotic form come out, and that's what their true form always is. Freedom and we win. Now there's always some cases where, you know, that's not always the case because not every human's the same, you know.
Exactly.
So it kind of becomes like what is right? Like how can you truly properly judge anybody at the end of the day? Because all depends on circumstance
That's
and
true.
reasonings and other things of that nature. So I don't know. Like I said, this whole thing, it's not a perfect system. Like I think you said it before, like it's just the system's just not all there. It tries, but no.
I feel like that's such a major conclusion. Like y'all need to, I don't know, throw something else, throw like a third judge, a tiebreaker or something in there. Because I agree, it's not a perfect system. Hey Andre, welcome to the stream. Right now we're talking about episode 4 of Death. I keep on wanting to say Death Note, Death Parade. And we were just kind of getting into like, you know, the decision and the characters of the two of Yosuke and Misaki that were the subjects of this episode. I do want to cycle back because one of the things you said was actually something that I saw in a YouTube comment that I was really upset about. I wholeheartely disagreed. So one of the things you mentioned is that Yosuke and correct me if I'm mischaracterizing it, but Yosuke and Misaki, their circumstances are a bit different because obviously Yosuke was a child when what was happening to his mother. With his mother was happening to him, and you know he didn't really have a choice because you know it's his guardians or whatever. But then you mentioned that like Misaki had a bit more of a choice in terms of what was happening to her because you know she kind of chose to like associate herself with certain people. Is that what I'm kind of getting at? Okay, so there was a comment that somebody said that was kind of similar, and I feel like I don't like that. I don't really like that idea because I feel like it kind of errs on victim blaming in a way. Like obviously, you know, people, I think what they're trying to convey is that she was like rough around the edges. Maybe she was a bit delinquent and stuff like that. But I feel like it kind of bears into that idea that sometimes people bring up where they're like, you know, choose better. Like a woman anyone will be in a like bad relationship and you know if the partner ends up being ain't shit, it's like, well, you should have chose better. And I feel like that can kind of get scary and it can kind of lead to people just kind of closing themselves off because it's like nobody goes into a relationship expecting abusive partner, right? And even the second time when she gets, you know, her second partner, it's like I would be thinking, this again? Like I already experienced this is really happening to me twice. And so I think it's kind of like we have to be careful sometimes with that idea that you choose who you're associated with because I feel like nobody kind of chooses to get abused and like even like something like, oh well, of course it's like guy, this kind of like, hooligan or whatever is going to abuse you, because I don't think anyone wants that. And so like, I don't know.
Mm.
It's just like, I don't know, because like I get that it's like, oh, you can remove yourself from the situation, but I'm like, there's a lot that goes into abusive partner. Like, we saw, at least for the first partner, the story of how she fell in love with him and got married. So it's like, at that point, if it was like, oh, my first date and somebody like a dude tried to hit me, I'd be like, okay, clearly. But it gets a little different when it's like, oh, this person, up until this point, they've only shown me love, affection, blah, blah. And all of a sudden now they're hitting on me. It might take a bit more of an effort for me to be like, okay, I got to leave this relationship, especially when you factor in, I believe she had kids with the first person and the second person. So it's like, now it's
total
like
5 kids.
Yeah, now you're factoring in the fact that, oh, should I stay for the kids, and stuff like that. And like, again, like, from somebody who's fortunately never had that experience, I can't really pick the brain of somebody who's going through that. So like, I don't know. I feel, because I saw that sentiment a lot in the comments, like, about like, oh, it's a bit less, like, she had a bit more control. And I just feel like, once again, like, I don't know if you would call like not being able to, or feeling like you can't leave a abusive relationship, if that falls under like mental illness or like mental distress or something.
It does.
Yeah, and it's, again, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people were just not being as sympathetic to Misaki and what she might be going on mentally. And I think, it makes sense, because she also decided to turn that abuse on other people. But I don't know. I just feel like, if we're just looking at their unfair predicament, they both are sympathetic people, in my opinion. So that was just something I wanted to
I mean, I get exactly what you're saying, but my take of what I was saying, I don't necessarily, I'm not victim blaming her. That's the thing. But you also got to take accountability for the actions that you do make in your life, so that is something that you got to make sure you do. And I believe what Andrew was saying here is like, yeah, you had your first partner. You don't really want to make that same mistake again. But it's like, it's hard to really know who you're really gonna mess with at the end of the day. You don't know
exactly
if this person's gonna want to turn abusive, because no one really shows their hand in the beginning phases of any type of relationship. A lot of the times, it's only when you start really living with them and so on and so forth, when they start getting, I guess, comfortable, and that's when stuff like that happens. Granted, I'll also say this: there are people that like getting abused. There's like a kink to that, so there is also that stuff too. Because again, all humans are different, and we all kind of have our own thing, which is weird. Well, not weird, but it's a thing, all right. But the whole point is, it's just like, I don't really ever blame the person ultimately at the end of the day for making that decision to be with that person or any of that stuff, because like at the end of the day, she didn't expect this. It's not like she went in the relationship
and was like, who's abusive?
She's gonna get whooped. And like, let me go find this man so I can get these hands today. Oh, two piece. I love it. No, they're not doing all that. But you just gotta make sure to remember that accountability is a thing, and you choose what's going on, and it is hard to get out of the situation, of course.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back into mental stuff that goes into this too, where you really love the person, so you don't really want to just like get rid of them, even though they're doing little here like hitting you here and there and everything. But even though those are signs, you should get out of there. No one really sees it when you're actually, like, you don't see it when you're actually in it. Like I said, love blinds you like crazy. You be the dumbest sucker in love. You don't even know.
I don't want it. Not for me.
But you're so blind. Like, if people on the outside be like, why are you still with this person? Because they see what the problems actually are, and you just don't want to either admit it, or you see it but it won't acknowledge that was actually happening. So again, a lot of this stuff it becomes a lot of a mental thing, and we obviously see when it comes to her, she struggles a lot with her mental issues, with just her mental in general, because she struggles with so much. So it's like I said, it's like you can't really you can't really just blame all on her, because that's not right. And you shouldn't victim blame her. That's not right to do. But I'm just saying there is accountability that should be taken at the same time, because you got to make sure you don't put yourself in those same situations over and over again, because you're not learning from the situation that you're in.
The thing is, I see what you guys are saying, but the thing is, what does that mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there like an abusive boyfriend look? Like, the way I'm thinking about it is like, if somebody gets cheated on, would you say, well, you should have chose somebody who didn't cheat on you, or you need to be more cautious? It's like nobody knows, like, because you wouldn't be with somebody if you think they're gonna have that tendency, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
when, like, you say things like choose better, you have to be cautious. Like, I understand, because it's like you have to protect yourself and your mentality. But again, I just don't see how her situation was any different than Yosuke's, because it's like it's not no one, just like no one. I mean, you choose your partner, but again, like, for example, a lot of there's like this thing, and this is gonna sound real femcel, so
Mhm.
buckling. Well, I don't think femcel, but like a lot of women will say that when you're dating a guy, don't be too forward about what you like or what you want, because there's a lot of guys who, in order to get laid, pump and dump, just keep you on a leash. They'll like purposely they'll kind of like a pickup artist would do. They'll kind of like, get into your head, take those things, maybe even research you, basically like study what you're like, so they can be what they think your perfect man would be. So you fall for them really, really fast. And then they get whatever they want when they have you on the hook. I think it's called love bombing. They get whatever they like want, whether that's sex, whether that's, money, whatever, when they convinced you that they're your perfect man, love, and then they like bounce, and whether that's ghosting you, leaving you pregnant or something like that, bounce. And so, like, in the same way, I know that like nobody's gonna come back out from the get. Like, when you first meet somebody, especially when dating, you're gonna put your first foot forward, or your best foot forward. You're not going to come swinging out with the fact that, hey, by the way, like, I have chronic diarrhea, so I might like shit on your carpets or something like that. You're going to be like, hey, yeah, I have this cool job, and like, I like to, and stuff like that. So like in the same way, I feel like, I wouldn't be surprised, and maybe I don't know this 2D character. But I wouldn't be surprised if the reason you fell in love with somebody is because there's all these good things they were showing you, and then again, when you felt comfortable, that's when they whipped out the abusiveness. I feel like that's a story I hear a lot.
That's what's so interesting, because yeah, you're right about that. That's the thing. Like, you don't truly know if someone's gonna be truly abusive like that to you, because like I said, it takes time for them to, I guess, warm up to, or smacking you. I guess I don't really, but my thing is that if you, okay, let's say you go through it the first time, right? So you start
Yes.
to understand there's certain signs that the person might be abusive to you, especially if they're trying to put their hands on you in some way, if they shake you, or you know what I mean. There are certain things you don't want to put yourself back in that same position. So I'm just saying you should be able to at least educate yourself to know that you don't want to be in that same position again, right? So watch the next person that you decide to mess with, because you're not gonna really know exactly again what's going on until they actually
Mhm.
start doing it. But it's more or less that you need to find an exit. But again, it's not as easy as me. It's like I'm saying all this, but it's not easy. It's not easy in any way. It's always difficult in these type of situations to even get out in that, and like in these type of relationships.
Mhm.
And like like you said, when someone will stay in there sometimes too, because there's kids involved. When there's
Yeah.
kids involved, you're really stuck in there at that point. So it makes it even more difficult and much more challenging to decide what you really want to do. And then love also is another factor that kind of comes into play here. So like I said, it's not as simple as, oh, okay, you learned, now it's time for you to, for your next relationship, it's gonna be easy for you. It never is. Like
Mhm.
you go in, you date somebody, and you probably dating the same type of sucker, you don't even realize it, but you're so in love that you don't realize the
Mhm.
signs that are there, though. That's the thing. So it's a lot of mental stuff that kind of goes on here. So and it's tricky. That's why I say again, I
Yeah.
don't necessarily blame all of it on her. It's just that
I feel like that's
she
our
still has
fundamental
an
difference.
option there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
because it's
know.
like I still think that she has more of a choice in the matter, as opposed to your mom just leaving you. Like, you can't do anything about that as a kid. Like, what's a kid supposed to do?
I mean, that's
Like,
true,
there's
but
not an option for it.
that's why I kind of hated this well, I'll say one thing that like I guess I see what you're saying, but I guess the fundamental difference is that you're saying you don't blame her. You don't think she's 100% to blame. I don't think she's to blame at all. And I think now she's to blame for her behavior, but she's not to blame for her circumstances. I think that's what I think. But another thing I
But
wanted to
there's a
point.
cause and effects to her behavior. That's the thing. So,
Well, I think
like, her
yeah,
past.
she literally got killed because she tried to beat on her assistant. But I think another thing. I think a key element that we haven't talked about yet is that like a lot of times when you are in one abusive relationship, it can literally create really bad self-esteem issues. And I think that's why I'm so cautious of being like, you should, like, the idea that she should have been more cautious and things like that, because abuse victims already, a lot of times they already blame themselves. They're like, what did I do to deserve to get beat? Why me? What is my disposition and things like that? So I think a lot of the time, like, you know, using that kind of like language, like, be more cautious, you should have chose better, you should have like pulled out at the time, like, to somebody who already thinks that the abuse they got, the undeserved abuse they got, was their fault, it can become really, really tedious. And like, I'm not trying to say it, because I know you said I'm not victim blaming, and I feel like that was a strong word. That wasn't really an exact accusation, like saying you victim blamed, but just like, I feel like it can get into that kind of victim blaming like realm, because it's just like, okay, what are we really saying to a person? Like, you know, this is a random fake woman from a show, but like, for example, if my cousin was in the same circumstances as Miyuki, I would never utter, you should choose better. That's not language I would ever use to them. And I, like, you know, even if they're, because like, I just don't think it's ever somebody's fault that they get abused, like they suffer mentally abused, whether they chose to marry that, blah, blah. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you could have seen the signs. But like, for example, if you were in a relationship and you know, you got in a fight with your spouse, and then they pushed you, right? It wasn't anything aggressive, it wasn't anything, you know, super violent, but out of frustration they pushed you. Is that when you pack your bags? Like, that first contact.
Yes, they pack your bags, but that's actually is a sign.
Exactly.
That if they're feeling roughhousey when they start getting into an argument with you, that means they're liable to put the hands on you.
Exactly.
If they can go further than that, depending. Because if you sit there and allow that to happen, then what's going to happen the next time then?
See, but that's the thing. So a lot of people would like point it out and be like, you should have left right there. But other people would like, that's cause for alarm, but I don't think that might have been an accident. So the thing is, like, looking for signs, well, certain things like are triggers, or like too much or too far. Like, you know, if I think most people, I feel like your spouse slapped you, that's the peace out. But something like a push, or like even like if they raise their voice at you in a ridiculous manner, some people are like, that's kind of messed up. But other people are like, oh, I'm out of there. So it's like, I feel like it's hard to be like, these are the signs, because I feel like some people are like, oh, that's just a once off. Like, how do you in the moment determine whether that was a once off thing?
None of that's once off stuff. That's the thing. That's not once off.
But that's the thing. There has been issues when somebody yelled at them. Like, I'm not, like, that's the thing. It could be something that never, I'm sorry, I'm so heated. It could be something that happened once and never happened again. But how are you supposed to know that? That's the thing. It could be like they just got heated.
Like, communication's key.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do you know? Because they could lie to you. That's the thing. That's why it's hard to be like, you should have chose better. Because there's people who are very deceitful. I'm bringing in the 2-finger wag, so y'all know I'm serious. There's people who are very deceitful. And the point is, they know that they have a very violent disposition, but they know that would drive somebody away. So they only introduce it slowly. That's why it's hard for me to be like, she should have X, Y, and Z. Because I'm like, he shouldn't have abused her. You know? Like, that should have never been a thing.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, look, we don't disagree here. I don't think.
I think we do.
He should have put her hands on her in any way. Like, it's all his fault on that account. I'm just saying that there is signs that you see, like we were talking about with the push and everything like that. That's why you talk to your spouse. You talk to the people. People don't communicate properly enough for these things. That's why they escalate in the first place, because they just feel like, okay, I got pushed one time, and then the whole argument's done, right? And then they kind of just let it boil over. They don't actually try to like say, hey, don't you ever do that again. We have to set boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, when you are in these type of situations, or just in a relationship, or whatever the case, because it can be even your friend. If you don't want them to do certain things, you have to set boundaries. If you don't do that, they're liable to do these things again, even if it's the first time they ever did it. It don't matter. If they have the capabilities of doing it, there's a chance they're going to do it again. So you have to talk to these people, and if they don't want to listen, that's when you bounce. But let's say communication is always a key feature that a lot of the times that don't always work. Because even with the communication, that's why they're arguing in the first place. The communication is already breaking down. They're already not listening to each other. They're screaming over each other. So that in of itself is already an issue. And if you guys can't come back from that, there's also an issue right there in of itself. Think you might need to think Like there like it's not, you don't have to get into actual physical harm to see
Yeah.
that there might be some issues even just
Hmm.
on the surface level of things. But that's if you can even think to that kind of, like sense that all this type of stuff. And the way I'm thinking at this point is because you have experience, you've been through relationships and stuff like that. So you start to learn certain things, and you start to be a little bit more aware regardless, because as you grow and as you deal with the other people and be with them and so on and so forth, there are things you take from the relationship, you learn from it. You know what I mean? And you kind of move it on to the next one, but you don't learn from like the negative stuff. You try to keep that in the back.
Hmm.
You don't want to bring that negative stuff back into it. But you try to learn from these things. It's life is always a learning lesson
True.
at the end of
That's
the day.
facts.
So that's all I'm trying to say. That's I'm like I don't blame her. I want to make that clear.
Okay.
I do not blame her in any way, because the man at the end of the day should have never put her hands on her in any capacity. I don't give a crap what was going on. That's not right. No one should put hands on anybody.
Hmm.
Like, keep hands on yourself. That's the first thing you learn in goddamn grade school. What y'all doing?
Hmm.
But let's go check the comment
Remember.
section.
Yeah.
We're getting, and then all of a sudden,
All right, so Andy says, yeah, they're both sympathetic. You could say she should have known better, but you could also say that the guy could have tried harder with his stepmom. But they both have their own traumas that make it hard to things that seem easy to everyone else. And I think that's beautifully put.
yeah,
Idea that, like, I think a lot of the times, especially when with people who maybe haven't, maybe have been depressed but haven't experienced depression, like a lot of them will be like, oh, just smell the flowers, or like just drink water. And it's like, oh, it's not that easy though. Like there's stuff you're struggling with like every
it's
day.
crazy because yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I don't. That's the base connection right there. We were just talking about how like with these decisions, but like depression does the same thing pretty much, right? Where it's like, yeah, I should do this, but depression tells you to do something else entirely, and it's always such a hard thing to really make the decision to really even move, because depression does so much to you, and then your anxiety really crushes you. And it's
Hmm.
kind of like in that same front where it's like, okay, she probably knows that she probably shouldn't do this or shouldn't be in that thing, but you know what I mean? Like it's all mental, and it's really difficult to see these signs to do anything about it. And she's not choosing to necessarily, put herself in that situation. So, I don't know. See, God.
It's hard. Like, good thing we're not Deckham and the dark haired lady for real. Because
Yeah, I know.
that's a hard job. Goodbye.
I didn't realize the connection that the episode was really trying to showcase here. And this show is so freaking deep. It's stupid. I don't
Yeah.
understand what's going on right now.
It's honestly, it's so good. Like I don't like maybe it's just under the radar to me, but I'm like this show needs more like love because what? But I'm gonna jump back in the comments. Andrew says I do agree he could have tried harder to be nice to his stepmom, and I think I've seen that a lot. Even in situations that aren't as like extreme as his, where like a moody teen will be like, "Shut up, mom," or like, "You're so embarrassing," and things like that. And then like only when they're older, they're like, "Oh dang, I was a ass. Like I was literally a jerk to my parents. Like what's up with that?" So yeah, it's hard, but it's also I feel like there was probably something in him that was just like I don't care, like what she's doing, like I don't like care, like because it's like when you're, and I'm assuming that he suffered from depression. That's the assumption I'm gonna make. But
Yeah,
like
he had to, given that he kind of like took his own life, and given that the type of life he has, within the because again, see, this is the thing about the dude. It's like there's so much assumption you have to make,
yeah,
but given what we know, because he's like kind of like a neat otaku type of dude, kind of almost like a shut in that we're seeing. That's kind of what they were framing as, and I don't know if this is like a thing for Japan or something like that, but when they kind of classify you as that, they kind of see you as like someone that might be on that depressive end because you're not out here really living life like that, basically. So that's kind of like the framework. I'm thinking that's what they're kind of going for.
hmm
And I said again, we got to assume then that he just had an issue with having a stepmom because I guess he still wanted his real mom or what the case is, and he just couldn't accept anything that's really going on in his life, which is why he
hmm
decided to take his life.
yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm assuming all that kind of like amounted to.
And maybe he also, because if his mom, from the assumption, like that first scene we see when his biological mom is like, you know, kind of like verbally dragging him or whatever. Maybe he just didn't know what it meant to receive love from a mom. Like maybe he was just used to that
Possibly.
really tumultuous relationship, and he was just like, I don't know how to react to this. Like I don't know if this lady is for real. I don't know how to even receive love like this. So he was just maybe like unequipped to like be able to handle that. And what I also think is maybe like he knew he was being an unnecessarily rude to this woman, but he also didn't
Mm.
know how to make it right. So maybe that even in turn made him even feel worse, because he's like, why am I treating her like this when she has nothing but positive things that she's doing for me, but I can't stop because I don't want to. Like, you know, that kind of like thing where you're like, I know
Mm.
this isn't good for me, but I'm still doing it, but I feel bad. Like, you know, most like addictions, you're like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I feel bad, but I can't stop. And the fact that I can't stop myself is making me feel even worse. So I wouldn't even be surprised if that also added to like his kind of depression, just not being
And
able to.
abuse, because like you're just saying, he got visibly, like verbally abused by his mother and everything. I don't know how long that's been happening for him, but maybe him growing up, he's just always been abused. And like you said, he probably never know what actual love is then. So it's another mental struggle that he was going through, that he just couldn't really accept this girl, this new woman here that's supposed to be his mom,
Hmm.
that is not acting that same manner. And so he kind of reflected those same emotions on back onto her, because maybe that's all the stuff he wanted to say or be or do to even to like his real
Oh,
mom, maybe even.
that's so. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Yeah. Oh my god, that's so true. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
Oh.
it just came to me too.
Oh my god. Y'all, I'm finna cry on stream. No. Um, that's a great point, but I'm gonna jump in just so we can catch up on these comments. Andy says, yeah, I think their cases are kind of similar. She was abused and he was applied to be depressed. When you're in those situations, it's hard to get out of those destructive cycles. Oh, that is a great
No,
comparison.
yes, yes, yes. Okay, yes, exactly, exactly. The nail on the freaking coffin, or what's the saying?
Uh,
Something like that. The nail on the coffin. You hit it with a hammer. Like you
hit
put
the
it in
nail on the
there.
head. Hit the nail on the head.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
The nail in the coffin. Oh yeah, there's the final nail in the coffin. It's hitting the nail on the
Oh, see,
head.
that's what I'm getting it mixed up. I don't even know.
Oh, okay. Andre said he was definitely a recluse for sure since his mom left them. Okay. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. But yeah, overall, at the end, the Yosuke went to, got reincarnated in Misaki, unfortunately, was sent to the void. And I think you touched upon this a little, and also to chat. What did you think about that decision? I guess now that
Like
we've
I said, I don't, see, now that we talked about it, I don't know. I said initially in the beginning, like I think he made, I guess, the right decision ultimately, because again, he did bash his brains in, right? So that he made that consequence literally right there in 4K. But at the same time, after talking about it with you, I don't even know. I feel bad, because I feel like they both deserve another chance. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Granted, even though what she did was not right, I
Yeah.
still feel like there's still something there for her, and I don't know if that was the right move. God,
It's
this
honestly.
episode, I hate it, but I love it at the same time, because honestly, now rewatching it and talking with you and everything, this might be the best episode out of the whole series. Actually, the whole season,
Ooh.
maybe I'm thinking, because I thought the later episodes like the best episode, but this has so much. I'm
A
blown away
lot,
by it. Like
yeah.
I was getting chills when you were like breaking it down, when you're doing your analytical ability. I was like, yo, what? I didn't even know that.
I feel like I'm going too hard. I'm like, and Dan, but I don't know. This really impassioned. This one made me cry. I definitely cried when Misaki, when I realized she was going to the void. I wrote down here a note. I said I understood why she had to go to the void. Oh, but there was a monologue that she did at the end when she like realized she was dead, and she was kind of talking about, she was crying, and she was like, please, like, please let me go see my kids again. And even Deckham, there was a point where when she said that, Deckham was like, ooh, perhaps. Like,
Yeah.
this
His
is
eyes like,
sad.
oh.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, she's giving Deckham some feels. And I agree. I found it so unfair because it was like she finally was able to, after having like getting really crappy cards dealt, she was finally finding the up and up. And she said ultimately it was for her kids. Like, that was the main reason why she was doing all this, to hopefully give her kids like a future, and stuff like that. And then she, like, died. And I mentioned this before, but it was a note I put there, that it's just really hard to like ask somebody who's been through all that crap to be able to rise above it, because honestly it's an awesome feat if you are able to do. But I don't even know if I was dealt those cards how I would react. So to turn around and pass judgment on how somebody carried their life, and not for because obviously her abusing her assistant is not, like, obviously she should get repercussions for that, but her coming to that, or like, being this kind of person that she is, I don't know if I'm like, how could you end up like that? Like, I think I can connect the dots, even if it, I can also, reprimand her behavior. So, I cried. I thought it was sad. It was unfortunate, but yeah. I mean, I get him sending her to the void, but yeah, I did not like it. I did not like that. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I was torn between the two at this point. It's just like I kind of get it too. Like I said, it's just again, it just gets much deeper than the physical, like the thing we're just seeing there. Because again, there's more to it than that meets the eye, and it's just like I said, we couldn't do this.
Yeah.
So this is not a job that I would want, and I don't think anyone would really want this job, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Good things these
but
are
amazing episode. Amazing episode. Okay.
I agree. Good job. All right. So now that I told you we would spend a long time on this episode because I'd be in my feels.
As I see.
I was like, I was literally the lawyer.
You about to cry? You about to fight me? Like it was a lot going on.
Listen, I don't know. It was just such a hard thing because I just felt so sad for that woman. So, but moving on.
I understand.
So, episode 5 kind of took a different turn. So we open the episode, we hear this kind of fairy tale story, and it turns out that it's like the black-haired woman, me. She's dreaming. She wakes up and she goes to Quindecum, and today we have an interesting duo, interesting guests, because the two guests for the day are a boy and a older man. So what's really interesting is that the older man, like when Deckham asks, do you guys remember anything about what's going on, where you are? The older man says that he knows Deckham's kind of familiar, and the surrounding is kind of familiar. But the boy's like, who are y'all? Like, I don't know what's going on here. So at one point, like, memories are randomly triggered in the older man, and we kind of see a flash that he's remembering Deckham's fake dead bodies, and so he starts freaking out, and he kind of holds the kid hostage, and it's like, tell me what's going on here, get me out of here, I'm gonna kill him. Deckham apprehends the man, and while he's kind of, getting it at fisticuffs with the man, we see in the background dark-haired woman, she kind of like passes out. We basically learn that it was the kid's not who he says he is. Bada boom, bada bang, Deckham apprehends them, and we find out that the kid is not really a kid, but another host that works in this underworld named Ginty, aka my husband. Let me stop. Ginty.
Whoa. I didn't expect you to like him that much. Okay.
I am so predictable. I like those types. I don't know why. All right. I'm basic. All right. But yeah.
This guys, you guys see this?
Wait, no.
Are y'all with her? Are y'all with
her?
I
was gonna say, I know there's some Ginty hive in here, so don't lie to me. Listen. But
Andy,
yeah.
no, get out of here.
Yes, Ginty hive. We're gonna make t-shirts. We'll make a badge, a Ginty hive badge. But yeah, so Ginty, so we actually, through Ginty, after Ginty's revealed, we actually get to learn a little bit about the history behind the dark-haired woman and who she really is, or whatever. So we learn that she was also a guest that was sent to Quindecum to be passed judgment on. So we get that knowledge that she was an actual human that died. However, Decim wasn't able to pass judgment on her. And we realize the reason why is that when she came to Queen Decim, she immediately realized she was dead. Like, she remembered she was dead. And because of that, Decim couldn't get her to play the game that they use for arbitration, because obviously it's like, what the point, dude, I'm already dead. So what happened is that he erased her memories and then kind of gave her like an extended period of time for judgment. So Ginty's very against this. He's like, what? A human can't work like for arbitrating and things like that over this, like, you know, situation. Decim's like, actually, she's pretty good at it, I'm not gonna lie. So that's kind of where they butt heads, and they actually start fighting until like Nona's kind of like, you know, breaks it up.
I'm gonna sidestep real quick.
Sure.
With that fight, apparently all the arbiters have special abilities. They have their own type of weapons or powers, I should say. Whereas, like, you know, Genji over here, he got water. It looks like, from what I can tell, like he's like a water bender.
Yeah.
And Decim has wires, so that's like another nice little touch that they have. Apparently, that they're superpower beings, which is why they kind of talk about like how they talk about humans in a weird way, because they're not humans themselves, basically.
Yeah,
especially how Genji is, because Genji out here just disrespecting humans. He don't give a crap about them.
he hates us. That's why I love him. No, I'm just kidding. Let me remove myself from that situation. But that's a great point.
Toxic.
That's a great thing that I did not notice. Yeah, Decim has like the little spider strings and he has water, so they have powers. I wonder what heat Nona's packing. And we also kind of learned, though, with that more information about how like the process of like the memories coming in, when somebody gets, you know, sent to be, their souls get sent to be, you know, chose where they're gonna go or whatever, and how, because we basically found out the whole thing was fake. The little boy was Ginty, the man was just a fake dummy, and this was all tests just to, you know, see how Decim's arbiter skills are going. And he failed because one of the things that happened is that although he received, I guess, memory from the old man, he never received the boy's memory, and yet he still tried to continue on with, like, you know, the game and like blah blah. So
what's so weird about it too, actually, we're gonna chime in real quick, is that he saw that, right? But why did he decide to still go with the game? Because he knew something was odd about it. Because he said this to the mysterious girl that, you know, was working with him, but he said, "No, we're gonna still go anyway." So it's like, what's his decision making there? Like, why did he decide to do that?
I feel like that's a little more insight to Decim. Maybe he's a bit naive on the process. Maybe he's a bit sloppier. Maybe he was just like, let's see where this goes. Like, I know this is not what I'm supposed to do, but let's see what happens. Like, I don't know. That's a great question, though.
He likes to be a little bit messy, huh?
He's a Kyoya, a common day Kyoya.
Exactly.
But yeah, so he basically like fails the test. We get a line from Nona where she talks about that, you know, it's important that you have the memories because the memories are key in order to develop conditions and like a game and things like that will bring out their darkness. So that was kind of a line I mentioned earlier, where she said, yeah, they're purposely trying to literally make them hit rock bottom.
Correct.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That she's like, okay, we're purposely trying to manipulate them into the worst conditions. Like,
and that's part of the reason why the mysterious girl's not really vibing with this whole situation here, because she's like, this is not a good way of trying to really judge somebody, because you're just putting them in that position, like we are just talking about, where it's like, when you have life and death, when you're on the brink and you go into that extreme, yes, it's gonna probably be more or less chaos, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's necessarily the true nature, because there's more to humans than just that. But again, we already talked about whole chaos theory and all that, so it's like, it's not a, yeah, it's not a good way of necessarily just completely judging them, because more than likely you're gonna find a lot of the cases to be like we just saw in the last episode. So even though it's not necessarily right, though, because we were just talking about it, it's like, yeah, she, you know, had problems, but she was trying to get better. You know, that, like, is there no such thing as rehabilitation? Is there no such thing as actually growing as a human being, as growing as a person? Like, we always get so fixated on people's past that we don't try to see what they are now in the future.
Exactly.
Now, she still was growing, of course, because she was still, you know, and being what she was, but
Yeah.
still.
A messy, young messy. Yeah, I agree. And like maybe that kind of goes back to the fact that, like you mentioned, they aren't human. So maybe they don't really understand that aspect of humanity,
True.
that people can change and grow or have weird motivations that aren't necessarily rooted in darkness and evil. So
Very true. Because they're not even human. So why are these non-humans judging these humans then? Like why is this a thing, huh? This is
exactly.
why Decim actually is making the right goddamn decision by having the mysterious girl there, the human that can see through some of this stuff. That's why her judgment actually is pretty good.
Exactly. um, but yeah, sorry, I just wanted to go into the comment section. Andy pointed out Decim covering his one eye while Nona beats Ginty's ass. He's like, I got the bang for one. Let me get the other. um, Andy also says they said he's been an arbiter for only 5 years, or maybe that's what. Oh, I missed that. So he's kind of like
Yeah.
a baby arbiter. So I guess it makes sense that he's making mistakes. Um,
Yeah, so he hasn't been there very long, thank God. Because I thought if he was there for a very long time, like how
imagine.
Nona was there for like what 83 years, something like that, or is it 63?
I
I know
think
it's something three.
Yeah, I think it was 83, but I feel like that's like not even like maybe even more because I know she was saying that's how long her and that one, I think that was Quinn, I'm not sure who that was, had been playing pole, but I feel like she's even been there
True,
longer. But
true. Yeah,
yeah,
that was just for the pool game. That's true.
she's a veteran. So she was like, Decim, she was like, what are you doing? That was
You a
funny
little
though.
baby.
Andre says, yeah, this whole arbiter system is rather flawed because, as we discussed, humans are flawed and complex, so you can't really do good slash evil slash black, white slash white situations. And I think the most like
Everything gray.
exactly, and I think the plainest like plain as day example was literally that first episode where that girl's literally just putting
True.
up, a face or an act to make sure her husband cannot feel guilty, and Declan was like, oh. No, she actually trashed. She just sent it to
Go to the void.
I will never forgive you, Decim, for that. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So all that happens. We get to see like you meet another host. We get to hear about more about like the arbiter system and things like that.
He said host.
And then after Oran or Quinn Decim High School Host Club.
This is where we're going, isn't it?
Honestly, when I saw them other characters, I was like, oh, we're about to make our own host club. But
Oh
yeah.
God.
So in conclusion, Ginty had knocked out, in the form of a boy, had knocked out the dark haired woman. So they like put her to sleep, and then we see kind of the conclusion of that fairy tale dream she was having, and then at the actual end credits, we see that the fairy tale she was dreaming about was actually a book that Nona was reading. So I don't know if that had any relevance, if anyone had any like spoilery connections with that, but I thought that was just kind of like, ooh, what could that mean?
It is. I'll say this because I don't really want to say it too much, but there are some hints within the book and even within this episode actually about the mysterious girl in here. So
I was thinking
there are some things in there.
probably about
Like
like
I'll
her
throw this out
life.
here because it wasn't the episode. So it wasn't the episode. There was a moment when she woke up and she was like trying to get dressed, and there was a different outfit in there that wasn't like her plain outfit that she's
Ah,
constantly always wearing. So I'll leave it at that. That's because there's a hint right there by itself, like in plain day. But then the book in of itself is also a hint too. So
interesting. I wonder what it is. Because I was like, oh, is the girl supposed to be him, her? Like the fact she was deaf, was she deaf on Earth? That's actually a lot of that's a really interesting, like in terms of like what we can go back and ponder on. Um, I'm gonna read a comment from Andy. Yeah, it makes you wonder why this whole system exists overall, and this episode kind of touches on who's in charge in the underworld. Yeah, it was interesting seeing that because even the guy that no, because we already know Nona was Deckham's boss, and then we see this guy that is even over her, and then he was even saying that he's almost God. So that means there must be an even higher power, and I'm just like, y'all,
yeah.
we haven't even scratched the surface in this tiny little bar. So,
Also, there was this girl. What's her? I can't remember her name.
oh,
But she had like a skull.
Castra.
Castra, yeah. She's like I guess the overseer of how like people dying or something because she was just seeing death counts
Oh
basically,
yeah, I
like
was
on the
scared.
planet Earth. So she's just like, man, why everybody dying out here? Like this, the rate of this the death is ridiculous.
That's scary. I'm seeing eyes in the chat. Oh, her closet. I already finished, but can't spoil. Okay, everyone. I have to catch up, y'all. I have to catch up to you.
God dang, Andrew. Of course you finished. Ate them episodes up. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was episode 5. Very interesting in terms of like world building. So I liked it quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, also, speaking of world building, since you brought that up, that was actually a great transition to what they were playing, actually, because you just talk about Bullard, but they were playing with the whole universe.
That was so cool. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. I loved that scene. Scene, yeah. That was so cool. Like that, how when they got it through the hole, it would go back into the solar system.
Yeah. I was like, what is this?
That was so dope. But yeah, so that's episode 5. Castor as a babe. I was like, cosplay list. Let me add her real quick.
I won't lie. When I saw her, I was like, I hope Pink cosplays.
It seems like the actual outfit is easy. I feel like the only hard thing would be the skull, like, head thing. So I'm like, perhaps you'll see Castor cosplay. But yeah.
Are you good with EVA foam?
I'm not, but that's something that I've been meaning to like practice on, and I feel like it's always the best when I have something I actually want to do when I'm trying to learn a new skill. So that would actually be like the perfect, project to try to get my. Now, I'm not saying I'm about to be, I'm trying to think of something. Kimpatsu cosplay, Jessica Nigri. What was the other one? Kamui cosplay level, but I'll try.
Hey, like, look. You say you'll try. That's all I want. That's all I want to see. Let's go. We all want to see that, right?
I come on with like a bucket on my head. I'm like, "Hi guys. I couldn't really do it, but this is a mop bucket with like the water still in it. I'm like, this is my closet cosplay. Sorry, y'all. I try my best.
Woo, at least it's an attempt.
It's like getting my eye. I'm like, no. Oh, Andy pointed something out. But yeah, the old guy also said God is long since gone. Ooh. So maybe God was like, I'm tired of y'all. I'm out. Y'all play too much. And
the system is whack. I'm gone. He's like, do what y'all want. I'll make another system.
I'm going on vacation. Y'all are annoying. But that's something I did not catch. I wonder how that's gonna play.
Wait, I didn't see it. I actually didn't catch that either. I won't lie. I won't even lie.
All right. So episode 6 was the best because Ginty Hive, where are you?
Oh my god. Stop.
We got to go. We got to see I guess Quinn Ginty. I don't know what is Barbie called?
Quinn Ginty.
You got to see that in action.
And you mean trash. You mean trash.
How
right?
dare you? No. In this house we stand and we love Ginty. Listen, he was a trash arbiter though. I won't lie.
Come on, like you saw what he was doing. How is that? How is that like judging it? Like I don't understand how he was to learn anything with what he was trying to do. Twister with flames and the 5 elements. Got Avatar in the building. Like what was going on?
He was real messy
I
for no reason. But
this whole episode, honestly, was just like it was fun, but like what the heck, Ginty? That's all I gotta say. Like what the heck?
I appreciated it because it did get like dark and deep a bit at some points, but I feel like for the most part it was pretty lighthearted, which was great after episode 4 where I was just miserable and like contemplating the meaning of life. But yeah, he kind of it was cool. We were talking about this before we started pre-stream, that it was cool. Like, it kind of was like, oh, when we met Ginty, it was like, oh yeah, there are other like, bartenders here and arbiters here, so there must be other bars. So it was really exciting that like very next episode we get to see how it's handled. Somebody else handles arbitration and what their bar is like and what games they play. So it was really, really cool. And we got to see it.
It's a stark difference too. A stark difference on how things are done. It's like, it's sad that my boy Deckham had to take the break, but he deserves
exactly.
Sometimes
that's true. He's been hard at work, throwing people into the wood who don't deserve it. No, just kidding. I love you, Deckham.
I didn't mean to.
Oh my god, Andre says Ginty is the same level as Bakugo to me. I'm not having this. I'm not having this slander.
I don't know. I don't even know if I can agree with that one. That one's
I hate Bakugo.
Bakugo.
Bakugo, no. Don't do Gint. Don't do Gintarella like this. Gintarella doesn't deserve it.
Wait, what do you call it?
Gintarella.
Gintarella. What?
It's my pet name for him. No, we exchanged pet names because, you know, we're exclusive. Let me stop. Guys, I'm getting weird. It's a drawing. I'm sorry. It's a 2D picture. But let's jump in.
She's about to make it 3D, baby. Let's go.
Body pillows, where you at? No, just kidding. So for Ginty's bar, for the Gint deck, the Quinn Ginty, where our guests for today are a high school girl named Mayu and a famous member of a boy group named Haruda. I forget what the Cross Heart Attack. I think that's what the band was named.
Yeah.
So it's really, really cute because Mayu, she's just a spaz, and she's a huge fan of this, specifically this guy. So what a coincidence that they would die at the same time and get, but you know, good for her.
Yeah, I know, right?
Good for her. And it actually works in Ginty's favor because since she's just so, you know, spazzed and overjoyed to be in the same room with, you know, her fave, it doesn't take much convincing for him to get her to play the game. She's just like, all right, let's do it. I'm so happy to be here with Haruda. This is perfect. So the game they play, as Rake mentioned, was Twister, which is kind of like, come on, let's try to be more like original here. And for the most part, it seems like it's pretty lax. Like, it's the regular rules of Twister. You know, you spin the wheel, you know, whatever body part you're supposed to put on whatever color, you have to do that, and you take turns. And the first, you know, person to fall loses. One of the things I knew that this episode was a bit horny on Maine, just a little. Like,
oh yeah. Just a little. She was like, finally, I can be with my besto. I love him. He's everything to me. I can smell him. I was like, all right, girl, you need to calm yourself. You like, bro, come on now. Like, this is just getting out of hand.
It was, you're right, it was a bit more than horny on me, but I was just like, and like he was peeping her underwear, and I was like, at one point all his clothes ripped off. I was like, okay, which writer was horny this day? Like, what was going on that day when these chapters were written? But yeah, so, you know, they're kind of just going back for the most part, going back and forth. There are some kind of things, because I feel like when episodes kind of start off slow like this, I'm always just like, what's gonna happen? And I kind of felt that because it was like, for the most part, Mayu just seemed like an innocent girl, and like he was kind of playing up the fan service to her and kind of like, you know, letting her fangirl over him. So I think the first thing where I was just like, ooh, was when Haruda was kind of like in his head, he was like, I have to play this game, but I wish the girl was a little cuter. And I was like, I mean, that's not void worthy, but maybe that's a bit like, you know,
go to the void.
She's
like,
cute enough.
You gonna go to the void. Though I will say, when it comes to like her design, I did like that little like bear hairpin thing that she got. I was like, what is going on now? He even questioned that. He's like, what is that thing? I'm like, sucker, that's art right there. What you mean?
If I'm a what's his name? Ginty stan, then you're a Mayu stan, I guess. You better not question her. Mayu
Look,
Hive.
That's not what's happening here. No, stop, right? We're not making a hive here. Hive's non-existent. There ain't no honey here.
Then I'll be Mayu Hive because I loved her. I thought she was so adorable. Yeah, she was having way too much fun. Yeah, and then we kind of get a flashback to him with a girl named Lisa, and he talks about needing to get back to her. So it's like, okay, maybe he has a girlfriend. So, you know, that's, you know, a thing. So at this point, were there any thoughts you had in terms of who was going to be the person to like all of a sudden go wild or be like the evil one, you know, at that point?
It was obvious that it was the pop idol. Like, come on. You know, deep down, these pop idols be dangerous. Look at Jay Park. Look at Jay Park, all right? You know, he be out here just acting wild, all right? We throw some K-pop in there, all right? Because I know he be doing things. This guy, it's him. That's what it is. That's why I wanted to bring this episode up right now anyways, because this is perfect.
Immediately to Jay Park. Jay Park, you better answer for your crimes. Honestly, I was like, I kind of agree with you. I was kind of like, oh, they're gonna do like the, pop idol who acts all nice and good in front of the fans, but is really crappy behind the scenes. But then with the way that Mayu was acting and she was being like kind of creepy, I was like, maybe they're gonna go like a weird, obsessive, stalkerish fangirl type like mode. Maybe they'll pull that, like, she's
True.
harmed or like, been too obsessive or invaded the privacy of like her eyes of affection or whatever her prized possessions are or whatever. So yeah, I was kind of just like,
That
I
never
don't know.
came to me actually. I don't know. That never came to me as a thought. I just looked at that guy and was like, this guy's trash already. Like, what happened? Why? What? Hmm. Where's my mind at?
Just being a pop idol, you're like, okay, he's hamming it up too much probably, like this can't be real. He was too nice.
Probably. I think it's what it is. Yeah, he was too nice because you could tell he's probably being fake, right? Like,
He was really
just
being
trying to put
funny.
on a show. Obviously, there's something more. That's what it was. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say that.
And I think
Like, I didn't notice.
for me, like in terms of like the stalker fangirl, I feel like just coming from like a place of K-pop where that has been a problem, that's probably why I was like, I know the idols can be shady, but I also know the fans can be shady and invasive too. So I don't know which way they're gonna
True.
go. So at one point, Maya, she's having the time of her life, being all twisted and curled up, with her underwear out.
I mean, it's Twister, and she's wearing a skirt. Like, come on.
That's true. Ginty's the pervert.
That's the problem right there. Yep. Yeah, it's Ginty's fault. Ginty
Yeah.
out here is like, oh, I'm not having fun right now. Are you, sir? Are you?
He really said, like, the energy he gave me was like the substitute teacher who doesn't want to teach anything, so they bring in the TV and just play like, Shrek, the first Shrek, and they're like, y'all watch this. That was the energy that Ginty was emanating. I was like, okay, he said, I'm not gonna do my job. I don't really care. I was, ugh, that was
That's
nice.
exactly what it is. Rolled in the TV and everything.
Right? He was just like reading that gossip magazine, and I was just like, oh my god, this man. Yeah. So at one point, Mayu gets tired. She needs to pee, and she's like, "Can we have a break?" Ginty's like, heck no. Like, why would I give you a break? And then another thing that I thought was interesting is that at this point, Ginty's like, y'all don't get any breaks, and also like just know that the consequences for losing will be fatal. And I thought this was interesting because the other episodes we've seen with Deckham, we specifically have seen him never himself say that if you lose the game you'll die or something bad will happen. It's like
That's true.
we've seen the dead body, that tactic, but he's never really implied it. It's just like, the guests coming to that conclusion. So I was actually really shocked with how much Ginty played into the idea that these people are going to die if they don't play this game. Like, I don't know, because I thought it was like against the rules, but I guess it's just something that Deckham doesn't want to do, which I thought was
See,
interesting.
that's one thing I guess I can give like props to Deckham because it's good for them to make that assumption as opposed to you telling them because it's better that way because it brings out a different type of emotion than where if you say, hey, you're gonna die doing this, it's one, you probably process it a lot differently than if you actually come to your own conclusion. So I prefer Deckham's way in that sense because like I said, his way is just so weird and I don't see how you're getting anything out of this really. Like, what are you
True.
really learning from like telling them that hey, they're gonna die now all of a sudden? Like, it's just I don't know. It's just this whole arbitrary work is not that good in my honest opinion. So yeah, I don't really mess with it like that. He just like like you said, he likes watching the people battle it out basically. So
Oh yeah.
if he can just have like a fighting showdown or something, you probably be like, yeah, this is perfect. I don't really care what I'm actually judging. I think he even said something along those lines, didn't he? Like I think he said like I don't care what happens to you or something along those lines.
Yeah,
So
he was very rough around the edges in terms of that. So when it's my time to go, I want to go to Quinn Deckham, not Quinn Ginty. So
hey, wait, hold up. I thought you were standing him for a second. What happened?
listen,
Where's the hive at?
I can stand him, but when I get down there, I'll be like, oh my god, Deckham, Dark Hair Woman. All right, y'all know where Ginty is. I just want to say, hi real quick, and then we can get to the Russian roulette or whatever, and then hopefully he'll
Yo,
come
hey,
through.
this girl backpedaling. She backpedaling. She backpedaling, guys.
Listen, just because I appreciate him doesn't mean I want to get arbitered by him because he is very mean. And I'm
Oh,
sensitive.
very, very. He's sensitive. Yeah, it's like, I know I'm not just gonna be crying off these episodes. I'll be crying for another reason.
After that, it kind of does this 180. He brings out his little like staff thing. He has a similar thing to what Deckham had in that episode with the with Misaki and Yosuke, and all of a sudden the what was like a lighthearted, slumber party-esque Twister game turns into like, sudden deaths, like Super Smash Bros, like you're about to die in 3 seconds, death Twister of death. And suddenly the platform falls, and the only thing that's left standing are the 8 circles that Haruda and Mayu were like hands and feet were on. And so essentially, and like at the bottom of this like, pit that they're hovering above are like what we perceive as like spikes or whatever. So suddenly in the sudden death version, it's basically whoever is the first one to die, fall off and die, the other one wins. So like it goes from 0 to 60. And again, this is weird. Like I feel like at least with Deckham's challenge, it like slowly gets there, but he's just like, all right, we're gonna make him seem like, we're gonna make it seem like it's just like, like field day in a kindergarten class, and then all of a sudden like it's death, like, so
Pretty much. Like I said, yeah, he's the 0 to 100, while Deckham likes it. Like it's like a good story, right? A good story. That's how Deckham does it. He likes to feed you in, and you really get into it and everything. While freaking Ginty over here, just like, all right, we got a little bit something, and then boom, every all the information from the show just comes into one section, and it's just like it's so much information. You don't know what's going on. You don't know how to process all of this. It's just happening. So that's what's going on. He loves chaos.
exactly.
And he hates.
Oh yeah, Andre just mentioned, yeah, Ginty doesn't like humans, so of course he's gonna enjoy folks dying. Yeah, he was just like, and it was funny because he was reading that, and as soon as like it started to like amp up, he was like, all right, now it's a show, let me get my popcorn, let me get my I was like messy for no reason. But yeah, and then on top of that, now that it's a sudden death match, it also, oh wait, did I skip something?
Did you?
Okay, sorry, I messed it up. So before it turns into a sudden death match, Ginty cranks it up, so the map's still there at this point, and these symbols appear on the circles. And so what happens before the sudden death thing is that these now like landing, putting your hand or feet on like one of the circles actually comes with consequences. So for example, if you have to like put your hand on red, the board will heat up and it'll be really hot and painful. If you have to, for yellow, it's that like for green, there's wind will appear. For blue, it gets really, really cold. And then I don't know if we saw yellow, but essentially, so it creates like these more intense conditions during the game. It's not just putting your hand, it's like if you don't hurry up and get to the next thing fast enough, it could result in really bad things. So for example, they have to, one of the, I think it was Mayu, had to put her like foot on blue, and so things froze, like everything got really cold and they started freezing. And then Haruda, he had to put like his foot on yellow, and by that time his body had actually froze, so it was actually hard for him to move his body to go to the next thing, but he eventually did, and he breaks out of the ice and his clothes go with it, so he's butt naked. And
Exactly.
Mayu's like, yes, this is what we
want. It was that idol strength right there. That's when when you get to your final form, the shirt comes off. Oh yeah, see, that's what
right there. The encore, the last song, your shirt has to come off. But yeah, so after that, that's when the mat drops, and Ginty basically just tell him the game's going to, and Ginty tells them that the game's going to end when somebody falls off and dies, and so they're kind of like freaking out at this point. But Haruda, he's like, it's either me or Mayu, so I'm about to kick this girl off to her death. But before he can do that, Miss Mayu says, you know what, I quit. Like, honestly, like, this has been like the best time of my life, being able to play alongside you, Haruda. And she kind of goes on the spiel about how she's been like a fan of his specifically since she first saw his group in concert, and how like his music has helped her when she was down and depressed. And she mentions that he kind of has a reputation as a womanizer, but she never really believed in that, and she had always trusted him as a fan. And so at that point, we get a flashback and we get more kind of insight into Haruda. And we see that he was breaking up with a former lover named Kana. And what I'm assuming is that she killed herself when he broke up with her.
Yes, I'm assuming that's what happened. That's why he kind of felt bad because after the breakup, you know, that's why this whole Mayu thing when she was trying to sacrifice herself got to him in the first place, because I guess that's like pretty much what happened with his relationship with that girl.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
yeah, he's like, I can't let that happen again.
Yeah. So because of that, he kind of gets empowered. And right when Mayu is about to jump off to kill herself, he grabs her hand and like attempts to save her. And I find it kind of funny because he's like saving her and he's like, you know, I need to be better to my fans, like yada yada yada. And he's like, promise me you'll come to my concert. And she's like, I promise. And then she falls to her death anyway. So I was like, you tell her to promise her dead self, her ghost, I guess, to come to your concert, and then she falls anyway.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, they're in a position where it's like, how are you supposed to bring somebody back up? Like,
you better
have
try.
the strength of God. Oh, snaps.
Well, I guess Mayu likes that kind of stuff. She would be like, love to use her dying breath to say that she's gonna go to a concert. So
she didn't like grab onto him like that. If you notice, like he let her hand be like this. Like she still wanted to slip.
That's my never be that kind of. Never be that invested. But yeah, fortunately though, when she falls to what we think is her death, when she gets to the bottom of the pit where we thought there were spikes, they are like fake bungee spikes. She was never in any real actual danger, or whatever. So, and we also get, so that kind of comes to that. And then we also find out, the ways that each of them died. So, Mayu, being just the silly girl she is, she died when she was about to take a shower and she slipped on a bar of soap and cracked her head. But
her face when that happened to you, I was like, bro, what the heck? The whole thing was dumb. I was like, come on,
girl,
really?
What? And then not Gente's, Haruda's was actually kind of interesting. So essentially, what happened is that we see Lisa. And you know, it flashed back to when he's like in a hotel room, he's asleep. Lisa, one of his former lovers, is like, Haruda, I'm leaving. And then he's like, okay, bye. And so he goes over to like the hotel room service, and when he lifts up the like, you know, cart plate thingy, he sees that there's a bomb. And so as he's looking at it and like, you know, figuring out what it is, it explodes, and that's how he died. So
that crap wild. It's like that fan said, all right, you think you're gonna leave me like this? Well, you about to leave this whole planet.
I was like, sauce. Like, it was so crazy. I was like, God, I would have never expected that's how his demise, that's how he met his demise.
Yeah,
like, I would
know,
have
right?
never expected, because that's so crazy.
Just get blown up. Like, God, like that's, why would you go that route? Like, out of all things, like, why would you gotta be messy like
that's
that?
so
I'm pretty sure it hurt
extreme.
other people too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's no way that explosion just disfigured him. Maybe, I don't know. That was really, really crazy though. But honestly though, I thought, you know, despite like the way he lived, and you know, I thought it was really beautiful, especially as somebody who's like really into stan culture, how after like coming into contact with Mayu and hearing her story, how like genuinely touched it seemed he was, and like how he was like, I'm gonna be better for my fans, and really acknowledging that like there's these people that look up to me, and because of that I should be better. Because I feel like there's always this like thing with famous people a lot of times where it's like, well, I'm nobody's role model, so like don't put too much in me. Like, you can buy my albums or go to my concert, but don't expect X, Y, and Z from me. But it is really beautiful to see like, you know, an artist who, you know, knows, he even acknowledged like, I'm only here because of like the fans and stuff like that, and is like willing to live their life in a better way because they know people are like counting on them, even though he already did. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little late there now, isn't it, buddy?
That's true.
And I mean, I guess it was like an epiphany, because even before that, because remember, he was about to kick her off until, you know, that epiphany finally happened to him. So it took him dying in order for him to realize that, which is, again, goes into that kind of extreme circumstances where when you put yourself in an extreme circumstance, either you can do something wild or you can actually be better after that.
That's true.
Because you learn from all that stuff that's going on around you.
Andre says, remind me again, the woman who planted the bomb, wasn't it her sister that took her life? That's what I'm was thinking, but they didn't really explain it. I assumed, because the thing is, I assumed that was Lisa, which was a girl that we saw earlier.
Yeah.
But I was like, for her to do this, I feel like she had to have some type of connection with the girl, his previous lover who killed herself. So I was like, I don't know if they explicitly said that they were related or sisters or friends. But I assume there's a lot of assumptions you gotta make in this show.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I'm assuming maybe it was on the paper or something. That probably
Oh.
did an indication, because they did show it on the news, or like, newspaper, that she was gone. So I think maybe that's where the information was at. That I didn't see it either. I'm not really sure what kind of connection those two had, but I just know he was a womanizer and he's known for this, and he did it again.
Mm-hmm.
So put two together, she's probably like, I ain't about to be another victim. So
Yeah.
it's time for you to go.
He's like, that's crazy. The way she planned it too, she was like, Haruda, I'm leaving. And then Ash, like, literally, she had to plan that to the dime. Like, I mean, to the second. As he opened it, it was too late for him to do anything. I'm pretty sure it said
even
that
funnier
it was
too,
revenge.
thinking about it.
It was
Like,
that?
she probably like busted and ran.
Yeah. She tried to walk out cool, but then she was like, gotta get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I gotta go.
I'm about to get blocked up now. Oh, okay. Wait, where did it say though that was, because that, I feel like that's what I assumed. Like, this person had some relation to the previous woman that had taken her own life. But was that like, where was that? Like, in the newspaper?
Yeah, I didn't
Chat?
notice that either. So that's why I'm like, I'm assuming it might be the newspaper, but I mean, where else was it at? Thanks, I didn't even see it either.
If that's the case, dang, that even, like, the plot thickens then. Because that's wild.
Just a little.
But this also had a really cute ending, because at the end, it was a really funny part, because Maya, she had to use the bathroom, she ends up peeing herself, she gets changed, she comes out really cute looking, so everyone's like, oh. But then at the end, she gets like a personal concert with the other members, with Ginty, who like, Ginty, you can leave, like, I know you don't want to be there. Deckham, the dark-haired woman, and she gets her own, like, performance of the cross heart attack with Haruda. So that was really, really cute.
Yeah. She was kind of actually like performing with them at that point, because she knows all the dance moves
exactly.
and everything too, so
that was so precious. And
so there's actually just two things, or at least I'm gonna talk about this one first, because it's kind of funny. One of the things I've always been wondering for the past, we watched six episodes so far, I was wondering how the bathrooms came into play, right? Because I'm like, they're dead, right? So why would they use the bathroom? This episode pretty much clears that up, that you can still use the bathroom even though you're dead. So
that's so true. That was another thing when we were watching in the previous episode, when we were watching the dark-haired woman like get ready, she was like showering and stuff, and I was like, and she actually had like the clothes to put on. I was like, that matters like afterwards, but I guess it does. I guess you still get BO even when you're dead. True. Okay, Andre said, okay, reading wiki, her sister was the ex who took her life, so it was revenge for her sister. Oh, that's cool. But where did that say that? Like,
yeah, I missed it.
I mean, they looked similar, I guess, but like, black hair is not that uncommon. But I guess there's so much you gotta imply in this show.
It's funny too, because you're so on point on the episode 4, but this episode you didn't catch that one.
Right, I was like, I don't know who any of these people are, but this is but it was very cute. What was the other point you had? Because I think it might be similar to maybe what I was thinking of.
Yeah, so with this episode, what's confusing me, because it ends off with the concert, right, and everything. So are they still there, or did they go? So, like, they didn't give us a clear conclusion. So what's going on?
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, are we not doing the elevators? Like, does Ginty have something else? I was like, okay. I guess they're like, you can assume that they both went to heaven or whatever, because Mayu sacrificed, and I guess Haruda tried to save her and like vowed to be better. But yeah, I was like, okay, I guess we're just not knowing what happens. But that was funny.
So this is what we get for a Ginty episode, right? We don't even get no conclusion. Right? Nice.
He's lazy. He probably forgot. He was probably like, I don't care. Like, just do the concert so I can go back to bed or something. That's funny though.
I wouldn't be surprised if he actually forgot to do it. Now I'm thinking about it. His character's kind of like that.
Oh gosh. I watched it sub. Oh, is there more information in the sub? Ooh, okay.
Oh,
Everyone's saying we shall see what happens in the next episode. Ooh, okay. Perhaps
yeah, yeah.
I was really thinking, like, are these characters gonna come back in some way? Like, are we gonna see something? So if that's the case, that'll be really exciting to see if we see like later on. But yeah. So that is. Did I have anything? Ginty saying happen. Oh, just more. I had a couple more notes about the fact that Ginty, like his style of like arbor trading or whatever, is so like different. But yeah, like not only the fatal consequences things he says, but like literally at one point he's like, you should really like when the parts of the board, like when they touch them and they start like, you know, making things get hot and things like that, he literally says you should really focus on the game unless you want to die. Like he straight up says that.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
whoa. He's like, I'll kill you with my own hands. He's like, what?
I know, right? Yeah, forget the game. Oh, I gotta just do this. Where's my knife?
He's like, I'll kill you both. It's like, what? Calm down. That really, like, you know, surprised.
But you stand him though. But you
That's
stand
true.
him. See?
I mean, he knows what he wants and he goes for it. But yeah. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I promise I'm not like this. I'm not like this, guys. I'm just little.
He knows what he wants. All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. Wow.
I don't know why I'm acting like this. I'm sorry, everyone. I
She
mentioned
wild right now. She wild.
Andy says I mentioned this earlier, but the Japanese VA for Harada is also the VA for Tamaki. Mamoru Miyano. Oh my god! Yes! I love when we can make a
Beautiful.
comeback.
Beautiful.
That's so
Exactly.
cool. I need to.
Making me feel like I should have watched the sub for this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Particular.
The sub's probably on YouTube too, to be honest. So I could probably watch that, but maybe I should switch it up at one point. But yeah.
Oh, we watching it twice in a row?
Honestly,
in dub then in sub?
I really love comparing like what they put in the dub to what people put in subs. Like that's like my favorite pastime. Like you know those like games where it's like tell what's different between the two pictures. I used to always love that as a kid. So like in a similar vein, I love comparing like the choices and stuff. Full circle, yeah. Everything's connected. Wasn't somebody in Wotakoi also in Aran Hustle? I swear somebody had mentioned that there was also a similar voice.
Wasn't there? Yeah. Who was it? Who was it?
I might have been
Because there was a connection.
Let me look.
Is it? It's time to get some research. Let's go.
By next time, guys, I'll make sure I have a scene where you can see, like, you know, what I look up on the screen. Hirotaka Nifuji, voice actor. Kento Ito. He sounds familiar. Wait, I need his other stuff.
Are you on his IMDb?
Yeah, I'm like going through his whole like life story on stream. But yes, as I'm searching that up, that is the 6 episode or the 3 episodes for this week. Very interesting stuff. I feel like, you know, ranged from something super serious and sad to, you know, something that was a little sad but kind of lighthearted. And we also got more backstory for like this world we're in, which is always fun. So yes. So for next week,
and again, guys, another round of applause for Pink's analytical ability because she's freaking doing great right now. I gotta give her that.
I mean, I will turn that applause right back to you because Break, you're always coming through with stuff that I just did not even like. I was like, oh snap. So yeah. Yeah, and everyone in chat.
You all yourself.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was gonna say.
Good, right? Yeah,
everyone in
good,
chat
right?
too. That's what. See, this is why anime clubs are so fun because I love screaming at people about things that I watch. Like, it's so much more like fun to like, you know, like I don't know. Like one of the things I do, whether it's a new anime or older anime, is that like when I watch an anime and I can already feel I'm going to be super into it, I try to find if there's like ever been like a Reddit or there's a subreddit or like, you know, there's a discussion because I just love talking about stuff with people and like, you know, seeing other people's perspective and what they thought. So, and I hope everyone is enjoying this anime club as like an outlet to do that and have fun with people. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So for next week, we are watching episodes 7 through 9, 7, 8, and 9. So you guys are saying that this is like something's about to go down in these episodes, so I'm really anticipating it. So
Are you ready to cry again?
I gotta order more Kleenex, but I'm gonna prep myself. Really, y'all, because I was not ready for that first episode. I was just like, oh, let me watch the first episode, space myself out, and I was just like in shambles. So I hope you're
God.
I hope you're happy. I'm just kidding.
This is one of those shows apparently where we should have actually did like a watch party just to see some of the reactions.
We need to plan that, and maybe because the way that this is about to be. So if we do 7 through 9, and then we do 10 through 12, then there's 13 episodes, right? Or is this a 12 episode anime?
I think it's only 12 if I'm not mistaken, right?
Let me look.
I think it's only 12. So I think it wraps up perfectly with how we usually do it.
Episodes. Oh, everyone's giving
I'll sue you in My Hero. Oh. Yeah, right off on the VA.
Yeah. How many episodes? Okay, it's not telling us. Okay, I'm scared because well, we'll get there when we get there. But what my thing was, like, there's 13. Maybe because the 13th episode is like the odd one out.
We can just episodes.
Ooh, fancy.
12 episodes.
Hey Siri, open Death Parade episodes. I'm so happy. Andy said that it's the anime club has been super fun so far. I'm glad. I'm so happy that for everyone you're having a good time. So aside from that, I actually don't have any additional topics because we already talked about Chainsaw Man. So Brick, did you have any like anime, aside since we've we're done with the review, anime related topics that you were just thinking about this week? Any rants or anything?
Any rants? It's interesting because this week didn't really have too much going on from what I can see. Because we're actually going into the new season. Actually, now that's something we can talk about here. Because I don't know if you actually looked at any of the lists of like the animes that are coming out of this season. Yeah. So from what I saw, it ain't really much this season. Like I think the last 2 seasons gave us too much, and we didn't space it out because like this season just it has barely anything, and it's just like, bro, I don't know what I'm gonna be watching here because it's that the list of anime is not looking that good. So yeah,
I didn't get a chance to look through it, but now that you're saying that, it doesn't sound very promising. I'm not anticipating that much, but this would be a great time to like go back and look at like maybe older shows or catch up on stuff you might have listed for the last couple seasons. But dang, that sucks. I always love hearing about like the new hot thing that like comes on the scene. But yeah.
So I'm heavy in the anime community, and I haven't really seen much of anything going on when it comes to like the new season right now. Though we are starting right now, like there's only very few episodes out, but still, it's just like from what I saw from some of the synopsis and some of the trailers, just like there's a show from Mappa, I think it's coming out here. I think it's called Redive, I think. So Mappa's doing something, and I'm kind of want to see what's going on there, I guess. But I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I haven't really heard much from that. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just looking it up. Redive, you said, because that looks familiar, but I think I might be mixing up with High Dive.
It's a High Dive. No, that's a service.
No, there's also an anime called I believe it's called High Dive. It was on Funimation, and like it was crazy because I think it's an isekai. Oh wait, maybe it's High Dive anime. Now I'm like just looking up a whole different thing.
Did I even name it right? Because I'm not even sure if it's called that. I think it's like something.
Maybe it's Redive. Maybe it's the same thing. Does it have that girl who's like in a thong? I keep getting Princess Connect Redive, which is
I'm wrong. Okay, it's Remain. It's Remain.
Remain. Okay. Remain.
Yeah, it's this.
Oh, okay.
This crap out of here. It's this one right here. If it. It's not. It's. I don't know. It's not sure. It's not showing.
It's like no go.
No way.
Guess there's gonna be a Lord of the Rings anime. Oh my gosh.
Wait, what?
Andre just put a link in the chat. The Lord of the Rings goes on anime film The War of Rohirrim in the works at New Line. This would be perfect for Jazz. She loves Lord of the Rings. Oh my god. That
Oh,
would
really?
be. Oh yeah, she's a big fan. I've never actually watched a single Lord of the Rings movie, which I found crazy because I used to always watch. Oh, you neither? You either?
No,
Oh.
I've seen some of The Hobbit, but I never watched like Lord of the Rings like that. So
But that would
I
be
played,
cool.
ironically enough, I played one of their games though. I don't know why I had that, but it was there.
But this could be cool. I feel like it sometimes with like big franchises like that, if you weren't in it like when it was like in it, like I feel like, kind of intimidated to like watch anything. So just like I'm guessing this is like maybe like a one-off story as an anime. That would be really cool, especially if it was a movie. But I don't know if you would have to know
Oh,
like the background. Also, hi Leanne, no worries. I know that summer classes got you in a chokehold. What is it? Cold Stone Steve Austin flip or whatever. I don't know.
it's a Stone Cold Steve Austin. So you're getting stunnered right now. That's what's happening. You're taking the Stone Cold Stunner, and then you're going through a table, and then he got out the ring, and he fell on a hard, cold mat.
Those summer wait, so it's called the Stone Cold Stunner? That's the move? Okay.
Yes.
Those classes are Stone Cold Stunner to you. I'm sorry. That was very, I don't know. It was like,
It's horrible. Oh my god.
That'd be really cool though. I hope it's not one of those things where you have to like know the lore though, because I would watch it, but I don't know if I would do like the work to understand the background.
It really depends on how they adapt it, which actually goes into one of my subjects I want to talk to you about. I just remembered something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to make a video on this, but why not do it here on Anime Club, huh? So I got a question for you and for everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to an anime adaptation, what really matters more? The animation or how they tell the story, how they animate, like how they like go about actually like of course like telling the story. Like does animation really matter that much to you, or like where is that at for you?
That's a great question. So mine's probably really, really quick, but I will say it just depends, like, which is like a cop out answer. For me, it's important. It's so important to tell the story in a way that makes sense. And we've seen like, instances where, they've kind of changed things, where it's improved it. And then stuff like, The Promised Neverland, where they just decided to do a really weird job and leave in certain things, but change other things. And that was like an extreme case of when they didn't do it. So that definitely, I would say at the forefront, that's most important. Like, I feel like, if it's like something where I've read the manga already, usually I'm just checking it out to check it out. Like, I'm not that person that's like, it has to be perfect, because I'll just go back and read the manga or whatever. Like, that's not really high stake. But if it's something that's coming, off clean, like it has to make sense. It has to, tell it in like a really cinematic, cool way. And I used to not be a stickler for animation. But after seeing some things like the slideshow, The Way of the House Husband, things like that, I feel like it can't be that. It cannot be that. Like, I can get like, some dud like drawings or like some dud like, transitions. Also, another thing I will say, the first season of Fire Force, why it wasn't unwatchable, because I haven't watched the second season, so I don't know if they've gotten better. Why it wasn't unwatchable, that was literally teetering on PowerPoint itself. Like, some of those cuts were weird, and I was just like, y'all really not trying to animate anything, are you? And it was just kind of like, it didn't make it unwatchable, but I was like, okay, we need to step up the game. So, like, for the most part, as long as it's not that, like, weird slideshow type, like, barely any animation there, I think I'm fine. I'm not that much, but I'm not a stickler. But again, at the same time, I think, like, if you really put your foot into animation, that alone can, because I remember the day Demon Slayer came onto my radar, and to be fair, I'm not like super tuned into anime Twitter or whatever, but it was when it went, it was trending #1 because there was one episode that just had the dopest animation. If you can get responses like that and get people onto the show just by having those kind of scenes that are so well animated that no one will, everyone has to like acknowledge, like I feel like. So for me, I definitely think the way you lay out the story is the most important, because if there's no story there, I don't care how cool the slices and the punches look, it's boring to me, it's dead. And you already know that I'm not much of like a fight scene girl, so like it's dead.
Yeah.
But no slideshows, leave the PowerPoint presentations to the dissertation presentations. All right, we're not putting that in anime. But yeah, that was my thing. So what about you, Break?
Interesting take. Interesting take. I like that. I like that. So before I go on my take, Fire Force. I'm glad you brought that one up because it's funny because that suffers from the same thing that Black Clover suffers from, where the animation will just drop in quality really bad, and we just be doing like still images and just kind of like zoom in on it or make the thing shake a little bit, so it's like this, like so it looks like it's animated.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll do a lot of that, but then when it comes to like the important parts, the important parts are animated immaculately. Like they put the best team all of a sudden on the fight. You're like, what happened? Like, why can't it look like this all the time? And yeah, it's like there are shows that get animated to where they only animate the important stuff. Kind of like I think One Piece is something similar. They gotten better, like this little arc with the Wano, but before that, they're only animating like the good sections of it. But one of the reasons why I kind of thought about this subject in the first place is because going back to Record of Ragnarok, when I was talking to you about that before, where the animation was looking kind of like shoddy on Zeus's and Adam's fight, and people were playing so hard about it and saying that the show's unwatchable. But I finished the show not that long ago, and truth be told, I like the show. The show's actually good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why people are hating on it so much outside of its animation, because that fight in particular was actually lackluster. I will admit, the animation could have been better because it was better in literally the other two fights. I don't know what happened with that fight, but they didn't animate it well enough. But the thing about Record of Ragnarok is how they tell the story. I got stupidly invested in Adam's character that it hurt me for stuff that was going on in there. I don't even want to spoil it because I feel like it's worth watching actually.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how they tell the story within that show and how they do the characterizations and the spins that they do for these characters, for these gods and for the humans, these famous humans that we've seen here. That was, like the way it ends off. For some reason, and this is another thing we'll probably talk about from another time. But I'm tired of seeing Jack the Ripper in anime. For some reason, he's always in a goddamn anime. He's so freaking famous. It's like Japan must love him or something, because I've seen him in so many animes, different interpretations of him. But this one should be interesting for Record of Ragnarok, given how they tell these stories and retell them. So yeah, I mean, Record of Ragnarok is one of those cases where the animation is not always the thing that makes it good. It's just how you tell that story. Whereas, like you said, Promised Neverland, animation was just fine in there. Honestly, I would say it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way they told the story just wasn't really. It wasn't faithful to the actual manga, and even if it wasn't, it's like faithful. It's just the way they constructed the story. It was too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff in there made no sense, and the end was just a mess.
Exactly,
just a mess.
It's crazy when I hear people who haven't read the manga like tell me about the anime. I'm like, how do you even understand what's going on? Because it seems like they left out like so many really important parts. And I think with Promised Neverland, it's kind of extreme because they literally just just chopped off stuff. But I know with I don't know if it was Tower of God or God of High School, but one of the biggest like criticisms was that it was so rushed that it was bad. Like a lot of people were like, oh no, the original story was good, but they just rushed it, that it was so bad. So
well, I can say both of them were kind of rushed, but God of High School is more rushed than Tower of God. Tower of God had an overarching plot that they should have just focused more on, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know they were trying to do some world building in there, but they could have just focused on the whole Ram and that girl that was like kind of like the antagonist to all of it, basically. They could have just focused more on that.
Mm-hmm.
And with the show would have been a bit better in that sense, honestly, as opposed to what they did. Tower, like, God of High School, trash. All right, that car was so fast, it made no sense. I was disappointed.
All right, I'm gonna jump into the comments. So Barbie says, I think telling the story. Andy agrees, the story definitely. Leanne says, I feel like even if the animation isn't good, great storytelling will make you not notice that. I agree. And I think I'm maybe people in chat can agree with this too, but I think I'm a bit biased too, because my go-to anime aren't usually things that will have fight scenes. So the importance of like a a really animated fight scene as opposed to, you know, maybe they're just walking in class. Class might be a bit different, but yeah, it seems like a lot of people are leaning towards story. Andre says it really does depend, but I feel like the animation is gonna be one's first choice since that's the visual. That's actually a good, like, you know, if it's like a teaser or a trailer or something like that, and like the animation's like, okay, so I was trying to do.
What was that? Is it Transformers? Are you transforming right now?
Every time somebody is like, oh my god, this is what, you know, my homie makes beats and this is what it sounds like, and then it's like that, like it sounds terrible. Do you have ever seen that? Okay, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, just erase that from your head. Look into here. Erase that from your mind. All right.
Go beatbox skills, baby. Let's go. Drop that beat.
But I was just saying that, like, you know, if it's a whack, whatever. And the thing is, I will say, not even animation, but art. I used to be really biased if something looked not polished, or if the art style is not how I like, I would be like, ugh, not watching that. Which is more of like a technique than really whether it's bad, good or bad. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like maybe if it's just like you just are trying to tease them through like a cinematic trailer, if it's not animated well, people are gonna be like, okay, you tried. Yeah. But
I don't know. It's because, like I said, for me, it is more about the story than the animation, and I like fight scenes and stuff. So, like, I would actually take a show that does like what Fire Force does, unfortunately, in some cases, because at least you get the fight scenes to be good, and they like adapt it well enough with the actual story. But you know, everything else can be kind of slideshowy and other things. You know, we can have those episodes where it kind of just they take a break, right? They, instead of 20 people, they got 5 suckers in there animating it. Right? Like, let the team have a break sometimes. What's the problem here?
That's true. I shouldn't be so mean. That's what I always think. Like when animation or like the art like or something is bad, I'm like, ugh. But I'm like, dang, they're probably really hard or overworked or stressed. So I don't want to give them too much a hard time. But yeah. Andy says beautiful animation would be the cherry on top, but okay animation is if the story's that's true, because like I feel like there's layers. There's like great animation, okay animation that like it's not bad, but you're not going to be like writing a dissertation about it, and then there's, you know, slideshow. So yeah, I definitely think it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's layers to it. No, go ahead. But it's just there's layers to it, because you're right about that. Because that's another like kind of like a topic kind of where. For some reason, it's either we have really good animation, because ever since I want to say ever since Demon Slayer, I don't know if Demon Slayer set this precedent or not, but I know that Demon Slayer did push this, where if it ain't looking like Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen or something, your show's trash. Then if your animation's not good, then, and it's like there can just be decent like animation. I don't see why people like critique it so hard. Where if it ain't looking like that, then it's just not good. And like every show is bad because the animation's not there, and it's like not every team can be Unfathomable. Unfathomable is a one of a kind team that when they animate something, that crap looking like a movie every time. Every show they've done looks like that. They look like Demon Slayer. Like there isn't a show I don't believe they've done in their whole careers or wherever the studio, like how long they've been. They never really messed up when it comes to their animation. They've always been really good. So it's weird that we're trying to like say that if they ain't looking like that, then everything else is trash. It's like it's not even fair, because that's not all there is to anime. Like there's different styles even that can still look good. So it's like, come on.
Like the one show you were talking about, that you had its photo on. I'm sorry, the name for is kind of slipping, but it has like a similar style. You said it was rotoscoping. It uses that method.
Oh, Aku no Hana?
Yeah, and you were like, oh, might not be everyone's cup of tea and things like that. It's like there's different like styles and different ways people and techniques people use. So it's not always going to be like a one-to-one in comparison. But I agree. I feel like when a show sets the standard, everyone's like, anyone that doesn't do this is trash. When there's like other ways a show can be good or stand out. So yeah, I feel like everyone becomes a critic. So Andre says, like, I know people didn't like the animation for Sailor Moon Crystal's first couple seasons because the animation was hit or miss, a lot of misses, and loved the third season for having better animation and having more designs closer to the 90s Sailor Moon. Yeah, and again, it's not even like...
Oh, wait, really?
I didn't hear this discussion, but I can like see how that like is a thing. But again, I feel like it's more of a preference thing in that case. Like, oh, Kara Kano, sorry. My sister always talks about this. Kara Kano is one of my favorite Shoto stories, and it always makes me sad that the animation quality lowers in the latest episode due to budget. I think it deserves a reboot like Fruits Baskets. Yeah, so Kara Kano is a really extreme situation. My sister always talks about it because it's like one of her favorite shows. Where like it at the end, weren't they using like popsicle sticks? Like,
What? Wait, what?
correct me if I'm wrong. Let me look it up just to make sure. Like the animation, like literally, there was like, well, I don't know about like the exact budget situation. Let me look at it. Kara Kano or His and Her Circumstances. Uh,
Oh, it's that show. Oh, his. Oh, okay. I didn't know the Japanese name for it.
yeah, it's literally like popsicle stick animation. Here, break. I'll try to send it to you. Is your Facebook open?
Yes, it can be. It's on my other phone.
Gosh, this would be perfect if I had a. You guys could see what I was searching up. I'll make sure to do that next stream. Um, but
Well, we didn't know we were gonna do this.
that's true. Just type in Kara Kano last episode, and you'll see it's literally like a children's storybook telling, like they would do on PBS Kids. Oh, my bling. But yeah, that's quite unfortunate because I'm sure that having to downgrade the quality to that level can't be like great. Because like I feel like that would even have like a thing where
How you spell this?
um uh I keep on saying Kare, 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 Kano,
Okay.
Kano. Mm,
Karikano. Okay, there it is. Okay,
yeah.
all right. I was like, what? I was confused. I was not spelling it right at all.
I need to watch that show though. My sister said I would really, really like it. But yeah, literally, it's like it's serving popsicle sticks. Oh, Andre says, happy birthday to Salmon Chibi. I think it's more of a case of animation style. But for me, I've watched the Fruits Basket reboot because I'm not really feeling the style. It's gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but I guess I'm just attracted to this charm of the original dated art style. I agree. Like, it's just like, and I don't know if it's nostalgia or it just looks better. Because I was actually looking at the original Fruits Basket style, and I was like their eyes are actually really scary. Like Toru's eyes are huge. But I do find it endearing, and like while the remake is like, very like defined and refined, like it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't have the charm. I don't know, it's too clean, like they're too pretty.
See, that's exactly how I feel with Fruits Basket. Like it's just like I don't know. Like I like the '90s style animation. To be honest with you, I won't even lie. The '90s style animation. I think I don't know if it's because maybe they put. It's not like they're not working. So that's not the right word. I want to say they're not putting as much work. It's just it's easier to animate, especially considering that you can use like CGE and all that stuff. Whereas back then, everything's hand drawn. Like this is why I always like watching like Cowboy Bebop, because it still stands up to this day that it just looks really good. Like it always just stays looking good because the way it was animated, it always stays fluid. Like I don't know, like it was always consistent in that sense. And Fruits Basket, and I think even with Sailor Moon, there's a certain style of that '90s style that I know biases comes into play with it because I do like it too. So I can't even lie, but it's just something with it. Not to mention if it's done right, it stands the test of time for me. Like it just looks. It does look like, even though it's not as clean, it still looks clean though. Like this one just looks more computer generated. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is that we're kind of getting thrown off on.
Yeah,
it's like the same comparison I was having with One Piece, because One Piece animation back then looked a lot better in my opinion, and everybody looked more defined. Whereas now it looks very similar to a lot of other animes. It doesn't really stand out because it has like the same type of like color scheme, I guess you can say, that a lot of the newer animes even have right now. Same thing with I think with Sailor Moon too. Now I'm thinking about it, like all of them have something similar going on, and nothing really stand out on their own like that.
I think that's something like the animation, the 90s like animation style, there's just something like dreamy about it. And I don't know if it's just like 90s kids will remember it, like that kind of thing, but I even know like there's a lot of artists that will like draw, like are really popular just for like drawing things in that style. Like I know in K-pop there's an artist, I forget their name, dang it, but they like redraw like K-pop characters in scenes in their music videos with like in that style, and like they literally get so many shares, so many likes and things like that. I feel like people just really appreciate that style. Like there's something romantic, nostalgic, and like dreamy about it. I don't really know how to explain it, but I don't know. I definitely have a preference to that when I see, and maybe it's just something like, I don't know. When was FMA Brotherhood made? Like I know the original was 2005, but when did that one Brotherhood come out?
What I think that was in the decade list. Was like somewhere in 2010, I believe.
Okay.
'Cause they try to put that in there in the decade list before, because it's like, how dare you not put FMA Brotherhood in there? I think is that like 2010 or 2009. I know it's close to that.
Oh,
That's the whole
okay.
thing.
So it wasn't that far off. Okay. Because I was gonna say, I wonder why they didn't feel like the need to change the style at all. Because I found that really interesting. Like I understand like actually cleaning up
Hmm.
like the animation, but changing the actual style, I wonder why that was like a stylistic choice made for like Fruits
Hmm.
Baskets and Sailor Moon Crystal.
Oh, you have a point actually. Because I don't think about it. Yeah, it didn't really look that much different from the original series, though. I'll say like it does look cleaner and it looks sharper,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still somehow kept what I don't know. Maybe it was like a filter. I don't know what it is. You have a point there. I didn't even think about that. It's a good point. What did they do that made it look like that? Because they still kept the essence of what it looked like from before. So it didn't really jar me when I started rewatching it. Basically, and got
Mm-hmm.
into Brotherhood. So I kind of wish they did the same thing with with these new reboots that they're doing, instead of just again kind of rely on the CG and this new technology they got. Because yeah, it's there and it's handy and it's probably in a way cheaper because you already have it there at that point now too, as opposed to like doing hand drawn stuff. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like it loses its magic. It's not all there anymore.
Yeah, I think that's it. Loses its magic. But yeah, that's interesting. But if they didn't come out too far apart, because I thought Brotherhood was like 2015, but maybe
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
let me look it up. Because I was like, I know for like, the Fruits Basket remake and for Sailor Moon Crystal, it's like that was a long jump. So like there was just, oh no, you're right. It was 2009, 2010. Maybe it was because it wasn't that.
Hey.
Let me
I'm surprised I got that right.
let me make sure the first one was actually 2005. Maybe I'm wrong with that.
Could have been 2004 maybe, but
Oh, okay, that's the manga. I'm looking for the anime. Oh, okay. The anime is 2003, 2004. Okay. Ah, okay. So that was, but that's not too much, I guess. Too much distance between them. That was a long time
no.
ago, though. Both of them are a long
Feels
time
like a
ago.
freaking
Yeah.
feel old now.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
why we do this to ourselves?
Andy says even though the Fruits Basket mangaka wanted the anime art style to be different from hers. Oh, that okay. Maybe that was it then. They're like, oh, just make it.
Really?
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And then Andy said about Karakano. No, they pretty much end up using the manga panels and turn it into a slideshow at times. Yeah, I heard it gets really tragic. But yeah, it's literally a
Oh my
popsicle stick art.
god!
That's so
Wait, I'm looking at it right. What
sad.
is this?
That's so sad. They said, y'all, I need y'all to finish these popsicles by sundown because we'll need them. Um,
I'm looking at it right now. You told me to look it up. I'm looking at what is this? Ew! This is terrible.
I want to research. Don't do this now. I want to research the actual story though behind the budget. Like, did they just spend too much early on? Were they just like, I'm sorry, we don't have any coins left for you, but we did bring some popsicles. So if you just want to eat these real quick.
Yo, okay, so this is interesting. This because this reminds me of Neon Genesis Evangelion. The
Mhm.
last 5 episodes, they lost their budget basically, and they just started doing slideshow stuff too. But I don't know which one's worse. because we have a lot of still images and it's just black and white. Like, and then they got like the hallways. Like they didn't even animate no more. They got a camcorder and he started filming the hallways. It's like,
It's so
I
unfortunate.
can't.
Because I read the synopsis of the story, and I think my sister was explaining it. It's really, really cute. So it sucks that, like, you know, the popsicles deter people. I mean, but in the beginning, because I've watched, like, the first couple episodes, it's, like, regular. But I
Yeah,
guess.
from what I see, it can look okay. It's just like wherever this was, they please don't ever do that again. Because holy crap, what? But
Oh,
see,
God.
this is why we're talking about the subject right now. When it comes to how you adapt something, does the animation matter, or does how you tell the story matter more?
Mm-hmm.
See, it all comes full circle yet again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's time for our favorite segment. Break. I want to know, what did you watch this week? Same with chat.
What I watched?
What did you watch?
Uh, hmm. I already said it. I finished
Oh.
the Ragnarok, so there is that right there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, did I watch anything new? Actually, let me just check my little playlist thing. Did I do it? I don't think I started anything different. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. No, I haven't started Wonder Egg yet. But I was looking at Wonder Egg. I was about to watch that actually, because they have like a special that came out. Because apparently with Wonder Egg, their ending wasn't that good, supposedly. So they had to like redo it. So that's why they have a special that came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're like, just kidding,
It
y'all.
was-
That's really cool. Now I kind of.
I mean, is it though? Is it though?
I mean, I feel like you can choose. Like, you're like, if you like the other ending, okay, we'll act like that's the real ending. And then if you don't, do you think it was like peer pressure where people were like, this sucks, do it again? So they felt like obligated to? Or it was like, they're like, you
I'm
know
not
what?
sure. I think they probably just thought like, well, maybe they need to wrap some stuff up. 'Cause I heard that the ending didn't wrap enough things up, so there's like a lot
Ah.
of open-ended things. So the special's supposed to like pretty much put it all together in a nice little box with a bow tie on top to,
Mm-hmm.
finish it off. I think is what the special's supposed to do. So I don't know if it did that, but I need to watch the show at some point here. But I haven't really watched too much this week actually. But I will be watching a lot more coming next week. You'll see. You'll see. I'm gonna have like an eight episode list. So be prepared. Be prepared.
All right, we'll keep a lookout for that. Um, I'll jump in the chat real quick. Um, Barbie says, talking about One Piece, I watched that. Right, I am at Wano. Oh, you were just talking about that.
Oh,
Um, that's something I really want to like, but I keep like oscillating between whether I want to watch it or read it. Um, but I really want to
you'll
get into
get
One
through a lot
Piece.
quicker if you read. Let's
That's
tell you right now.
that's what I'm thinking. But then some people are just like, but you don't want to miss this part animated. Ah. But I could just watch a clip on YouTube or
And
something.
which is true. True. You can still get the feeling. Granted, I mean, I will admit there's certain scenes that you need to watch all the way through. You don't have to watch the whole arc that way because you already read it, then you know what happens. You just need to see how they went about it when it comes to the animation.
Hmm.
Like Water 7 has too many moments. It's my favorite arc in One Piece. Water 7 has too many moments where the animation just like anime did an amazing job adapting that whole thing. That's why it's my favorite arc in the first place because just there's so many good parts to it. Like if you're gonna watch anything in One Piece, I feel like that's the arc in general. And Impel, yeah, no, it's Impel Down. No, it's just Water 7 and the connection to that. Like you need to watch all of that because everything else can be a little bit shoddy here and there. I'll admit. I'll admit.
Hmm.
Well, Marine Force is pretty good too. Actually, I can't say that because that's like the whole war arc that happens, and you kind of have to see that's what's going on there. But the manga's still good. You're just missing the ad, the soundtrack, or you know what I mean.
Ah,
The
that's
soundtrack
another
really
thing.
adds
Yeah.
the element.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm just torn. I'm already so indecisive, and now I'm just like, there's so many pros and cons because I do want to get through it quick because I know everyone's like, okay, once you get past this, that's when it really starts, like, and I'm just like, I want to get to that part now. So, yeah.
yeah.
Um, Andy says, to be honest, I haven't watched anything. I've been watching movies this week. Oh, what movies have you watched? I know this was actually a couple of weeks ago, but I watched the Luca movie, the new Disney Pixar movie about the fish people. That was really, really cute. Um, but oh no, anime, I mean. Oh, okay. Andre says, I've been
Yeah.
watching Digimon Adventure reboot, which Hulu has only has 49 episodes of it, even though it's past that. LOL. I finished Diazenon, watching Pretty Cure, My Hero, Doctor Stone, ooh, and the dub of Yasahime, all along with stuff on Toonami.
You're like me then, okay? Because yeah, technically, I guess I'm watching that stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I fell asleep on Saturday. I was tired after work. I didn't get to watch Yasahime, but I did watch Black Clover and watch a little bit of My Hero. Oh, that Saturday be kicking my butt. All right, I'd be so exhausted.
We're old, Toonami. Move it up, or I guess move it to like the afternoon. We're too old. I want to get back on the Toonami kick. Like I feel like that's a fun way to watch stuff and kind of keep up with a bunch of different shows without feeling like you're binging like 50 different things at a time. Like I don't know if I watch anything weekly right now because I'm not watching anything new. But I like what when Attack of Titan, even though it like I kind of lost, like I fell behind. It was nice just having one thing to look forward to every week. That's why I was kind of like trying to get caught up with My Hero, but not really. I just ended up just watching did this season end already?
No, you're in the halfway point, and that's when My Villain Academia starts apparently, and everybody's like, yes, we're getting hype. This is about to be the best season ever now. And I'm like, okay, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know, but the manga people are going wild apparently.
I love when manga people are just like, y'all about to get it. Like when they're like for any like anime or even if, whether it's new, they're like, y'all about to like they're so hyped. That's so as long as they're not spoiling. It's annoying when they spoil, but when they're just like hyping people up, I'm just like, oh yeah.
That's when we start giving them Stone Cold Stunners.
Stone Cold Stunners. So Andy says, watched Clueless with my sisters the other day. Finished Lord of the Rings trilogy extended edition. Oh my god, how long was that? Last night. Extended director's cut. Like, whoa, that must have been a lot. And other stuff here and there. Clueless is not a show I've watched. I know about it, but I've actually never watched that movie. So, is it good? Or is it just like nostalgia glasses? It's
nostalgia glasses.
I feel like some people are just like, this was so good, and then you watch it and it's just like, okay, this is stale acting, stale plot, stale everything. And this was like, all right.
That's why I get scared sometimes, like, because we're doing the anime club. Like, I don't want to end up like picking a show that I thought I liked, but then we watch it again, I'm like, dang, this show's actually trash. I don't want that to happen.
And we're like, okay, this is what Break suggested, I guess.
It's like so far we've been doing pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Like these shows are good. But what if we get one that's just bad? Like, can we actually even finish it?
Honestly, I'm kind of that's a great question. Like, what would we do if we all just collectively came to the decision that this is like a show we were watching wasn't good? Like that would just be weird. Because then the person who like, I don't want to hurt the feelings of the person who like suggested it, but well,
true.
Like they're like, hey guys, that's mean. But yeah,
it's my childhood.
Well, hopefully, even if it's not the greatest plot, there's at least talking points about it. Because I feel like even really bad anime, there's things you can discuss, and sometimes those are like the most fun things to talk about. But yeah, that would suck. It's just like, oh, everything I loved was a lie. Andre says, it was weird because I watched the current subbed episode of My Hero and then Toonami airs a past dub episode. How far behind are they?
Like, I think like 2 episodes right now, because I know they had to take a break or something like that. So they're not as caught up, but they're pretty close, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Maybe I'll watch it on there. And that's how I'll catch up. Ooh, Barbie is firing shots. Fairy Tail was not good.
I agree with you. I watched like 7, 8 episodes. I just could not get into it. But granted, see, here's the thing. Fairy Tail, you have to not watch other shonens to watch Fairy Tail so you can actually like.
Sorry.
What?
That wasn't supposed to happen. I was trying to readjust my babang. Okay, there we go.
it just comes back up. Okay, all right. I don't know how to feel about that. I didn't see that coming.
Sorry, guys.
And
I'm a
she's no
fraud.
longer in cosplay, guys. She's no longer in cosplay.
I still have the necklace and the cardigan. Listen, guys, I am the dark-haired woman. It won't stay
Oh.
up. What were you saying about Fairy
Fairy
Tail?
Tail. Fairy Tail is one of those shows where you need to like not watch other shonens to really enjoy it, or turn your brain off to watch the show. Basically, so
So shady when
throwing it
people
out
are
there.
like, to enjoy this show, imagine you didn't have a brain. Like, I feel like that's always low key. Like, I get what you're saying, but it always seems low key shady to say. Oh God.
Yeah, that's what other people say. All right, I try to watch it, and there's just too many. There's too many cliches in there. It bothers me because I've seen like all the like different tropes of shonen, right? So going into this, I'm seeing literally all of them in one show. It's like, bro, what the heck is this? Not to mention, there's a character in there that is like a 1-for-1 for a character in One Piece. Like it's like I just ripped them off. I was like, I couldn't do it.
I always thought it gave like really weird One Piece vibe, like really similar One Piece vibes. But I never watched. Well, I did watch a couple episodes, but I never actually watched. Well, I watched One Piece. I didn't have enough like material of either to compare. But I was like, this kind of seems like One Piece. But is it just because? What are they? Are they pirates in Fairy Tail? Or they like sail the seven seas?
They're like magicians.
Oh
basically, I guess
yeah.
you could say.
Okay. Yeah, it always gave me like, oh, it kind of seems like heavily inspired. But I watched a couple episodes. I don't really remember how I feel about it. It was enough to watch like 8 or so episodes. But yeah, with like Natsu, I wasn't really feeling him as a main character that much. Not anything like against him. I just remember not caring that much. But I just love how Barbie's like, is this mic on? Fairy Tail was not good. Just like, it was
Yeah,
like
I know, right?
we were like, what do you?
Anything else?
We were like, what did you watch this week? And you were just like, Fairy Tail, not good. All right, y'all, I'm out. I'm gonna head out.
Legend.
Andre says, oh, random question. Oh, this is a great question. What's your episode cutoff of anime? Like, how many episodes do you watch before you decide to continue or cancel? You have the three rule, like the 3-episode rule.
Yeah, I have a 3-episode rule. Though sometimes it gets extended if I'm watching with a friend. I'll tell you that much. Like Steins Gates, if I gave that show 3 episodes, I would have dropped it after 3 episodes. But because I was watching with a friend, I got through the whole thing and still thought it was trash. But I watched the whole show. There's that. You get influenced by your friends. You start watching things. You just keep going, and then so hopefully you just hope for the best. Sometimes like the 3-episode rule doesn't always work, because Blood Sea is one of those cases where you can watch almost the whole series and not really like it, but then that last 2 episodes they smack you in the face, and you're like, yo, everything makes sense all of a sudden. Now it's not as trash anymore. So it's just like it's a tricky slippery slope that you run into, but typically I give 3 episodes. That's my long-winded answer. My bad. Go ahead, Pink.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. If it's just like me watching by myself, I maybe read on Reddit or heard somewhere it was good, I'll give it like about 3 or 4 episodes. If I watch with a friend or like my siblings or something like that, usually if it's like whack, we can at least like make it funny, like clowning it or whatever, so that kind of extends.
Yeah.
And then also I think I extend it if I get like a personal recommendation by somebody's taste who I trust or who I think knows me well enough to know what I like, because I just take that like recommendations from people I know and know me, I take that really like highly. So I'm like, there must be a reason why they told me I should watch this, so I'm willing to like extend it to maybe like 5 or 6 episodes just to kind of see why they might have thought I liked this, because usually if it's like, especially if it's like my sister or brother, they're usually right. I just kind of have to like focus and stuff, because sometimes there's like, I don't know, for me, like you have to be in a mood to watch certain things as well, so like maybe I'm just not in the right mood or whatever. But I definitely think
true.
It's dependent on like how I found out about this anime and then who I'm with when I'm watching it. But for the most part, just for a plain fast 3 is probably And like that's why it's so crazy when people are like, yo, just watch 43 episodes and then skip 3 episodes and watch 40 movies, then read 9 chapters of the manga backwards. And it's just like, what? then fly to the moon, then do the splits with Beyonce. It's like, this is too much. Like, you're asking me
no.
like to read the whole thing to understand. Like, no, like it's a lot.
Like I can do a lot of that stuff, right? I can do a lot of that, but the splits of Beyonce, that's almost impossible.
Exactly. They're asking for much too much. So at that point, yeah. Oh, hey, Jodello. Oh, Jodello says, gasp from the shadows. Fairy Tail was my childhood. I mean,
see? Childhood. That's your problem right there. You got your nostalgia goggles on right now. Take them off.
Andy says, I just kind of watch until I'm not into it anymore, I guess. Like I tried watching an EP show, an episode of the show, and got to like 7, but yeah, I think that could be it too. Like sometimes there's like something that like maybe they drop like a mystery in the beginning. I'm like, okay, kind of interested what happens here. But other times though, like when the show's actually lagging, but there's something that I want to find out, I'll just stop watching it and go to the wiki. So,
which is, I mean, I don't never do that. I didn't know. I see, the thing is, if I'm dropping a show, I don't care enough to go to the wiki, you know. So I'm like, I guess I'm done. Like, there ain't no reason to watch this or care about this anymore.
Well, a lot of it for me is like, for someone like the shoujo and stuff like that, or romance just in general that I watch, I'm like, I want to see who ends up with who, but I don't like the direction that the coupling is going. So I'm gonna save my feelings and save, because you know by then I already picked like an end game or like a couple I ship. I'm just gonna save my breath, skip to the end. And, you know, because I know it's not really going in the way I want, just find out what happens, because I don't care to read about couples that I don't ship falling in love. That sounds insane, but you have to understand, I am insane. All right, so yeah, so that's mostly when that happens.
Well, you heard a guy, she's insane in the membrane.
Insane in the brain. Ooh, Andy says, I've seen Fairy Tail, called it OP ripoff. I've seen it, but I don't know if it's just visuals, because now you're saying that there's this wizard element that I completely forgot. So, you know.
Like I said, there's a character in there. What the heck is his goddamn name? He looks like Shanks from One Piece. Like, he looks exactly like him.
Oh,
he even
really?
acts like Shanks. Like, that's like a Shanks. He's just in Fairy Tail. Like, it's like a what? Freaking Natsu acts kind of similar to Luffy, because he acts kind of dumb like him. And they both, again, it's a shonen trope here, but this happens a lot, where you have a character, he eats a lot of food. That shonen trope was, like, I guess, created by Goku, because Goku does the same thing. And then Luffy said, hey, I'm gonna take that same trope and put it onto my character. And then Fairy Tail's like, hey, that's a nice trope, and put that into freaking Natsu, and then there it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, don't get me wrong, I just want to make a disclaimer. Y'all can like who you like. You can like what you like. I always say this when I do my K-pop streams too. But you know, I just think for me, it just never like, you know, met. Like, I never clicked.
Disclaimer. Your taste is trash. All right, I said it. I said it. I'm out here being wild today. I'm Deckham right now. All right, I'm judging you guys. Y'all want to go to the void? You go to the void. Watch Fairy Tail. You go to the void.
Guys, I won't let him take you to the void. I'll stop it. I'm so sorry. Andre says, I usually give a show at most 5 episodes, but I'm also hella picky about the anime I watch. And Andy agrees. I'm picky too. Andy says, Naruto and DBZ were my childhood, but I can admit many faults. Andre says, of course I watched Elfen Lied with my friend who suggested it, and he also suggested Angel Beats, and it was so good, and Elfen Lied was trash. Elfen Lied scared me because 5 seconds in, the chick's already butt naked, and I'm like, what? How is this on cable? Like, because it was definitely on Comcast On Demand when you went to, I don't know, Adult Swim. Yeah, and I was like, where's the child lock? Like, what's going on here? She a whole butt naked in the first 5 seconds. Let me get a drink. Let me catch my breath. Like, don't assault me with this immediately. Like, imagine being like with your parents and you're like, oh, I just want to watch some anime, and then you're like, oh, what's this? And it just starts.
Exactly. Got a girl just standing there in a pool of blood too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was extremely violent. Like, oh my gosh. That would have like been like, oh, just kidding. I don't know what this is. Andy says, almost me with Peach Girl, but I pushed through and it ended the way I wanted. So, LOL, same. Peach Girl is very foolish in the beginning, but it's very dramatic. If you like drama, you'll like Peach Girl. And School Days, I also recommend that.
Oh my god, dang School Days. What the heck is that in the background? Hope you got, is that getting picked up in the back right now? Are you hearing that?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, thank God. All right, my noise gate is doing its job.
Okay, I was gonna say.
There's this popping noise outside. I have no idea what the heck's going on out there.
Ooh, is it fireworks? People start to get crazy with fireworks around this time.
It's hot. It's hot. Why are you using fireworks right now? We don't need fireworks. We need ice to drop down. Like, what?
We need ice works quickly, pronto. While butt naked and killing folks. The hell? Yeah, I was just like, warn me? Like, what is going on? Andy says, not School Days. Listen, the one anime I will never let anyone slander is School Days. Because, yes, it is messy. Yes, it is trashy. Yes, it is foolish. But it did what it needed to do. And it was very entertaining. I was screaming at the end. Like, at the top of my lungs. Like, that's how satisfied I was with the ending. And that's how much it shocked me. So, no, okay, we can each pick one anime that's, like, kind of like, but, like, there's no slander allowed on the podcast. And that one's mine. What's yours?
I'm gonna go with Aku no Hana. That crap looks like trash, but it's good trash. All right. I can't lie. The animation just doesn't look good, but that story though. So don't talk bad about it, please.
All right, you heard the guys. Those are the two ones you can't slander. Y'all, people have been popping fireworks in my neighborhood since May. All right.
Whoa, they say they go out. What are they celebrating? Why are they popping fireworks?
They're just being messy. That's like last year. Like, for some reason, fireworks just as soon as the summer started every single day. And I was just like, what? Did y'all coordinate this? I'm so confused. Like, why is so they're going to start that again, I guess. But it's like, why? May? Is Memorial Day in May, maybe?
Well, even it's like that's one day. You don't have to do it the whole month. It's like a what?
Memorial month. School Days is creepy. Facts. School Days is very creepy. And it's very gross, but...
I need to watch the show. I keep hearing weird things about it, but you're saying it's actually good. I have yet to even watch it, so I don't...
Oh!
I don't know.
Is that the next anime club? No, I won't put y'all through that. I won't put y'all through that.
Or will she?
We'll find out the next time we vote. But yeah. So I think we can wrap it up. But as usual, I gotta ask you, Rick, any last words? Anything you want to promote?
Actually,
I always have to threaten your life.
I know, right? Every time. Shoot. Hey, go check out my boy Quetz. He's out here playing Last of Us 2 right now. Just want to throw that out there. I'm not streaming today.
Okay.
I'm just gonna chill and keep it real.
All right, bye everyone. Thank you for everyone who came through. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye bye.
You guys are leaving the Quindecum. Goodbye.